All right, and welcome to episode 1 of the Saturday Morning Movie Podcast, the Phantom Menace Review. I'm your host, Dom, joined by my co-host, my brother, Vinny.
What's up?
And we're starting this podcast because we just want to talk about movies. Like, what made you want to start the podcast, man?
Yeah, so you and I have always enjoyed movies since we were little. We talk about movies all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and I just thought, like, why not record it and put it out there so
Yeah,
people they might be interested in what we have to say.
definitely. Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, like I've been just diving deeper into film and movies in general, and like I think as I've gotten older, my the way I look at things and look at movies has changed, and I think that I think I have a decent amount to say. We'll see, but yeah, I think we always are talking on the phone for hours
Yeah,
about movies and TV and stuff like that, and I thought why not just hit record? I mean, and there's a lot of podcasts out there, that are we see online, and it's kind of like uh I think we can say better things
we
than
can
that.
add to it.
Yeah, we can
Yeah,
add to the discussion,
absolutely.
and get our opinions out there. But why did you want to start with Star Wars as our first episode?
Good question. So I don't know about you, but for me, Star Wars is like it's been in our lives since we were very small.
Mm-hmm.
It was like one of the first movies we saw. Um, and it's something we're really comfortable talking about. We've
Mm-hmm.
talked about it so many times. We've seen the movies millions of times, probably.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know about you, but I'm kind of a little nervous to even be doing this. So starting with something that I'm super comfortable with is like it just makes the whole process a little
Yeah,
easier for me.
definitely.
So
Yeah, I mean, if you can't tell, we're a little nervous, but I mean,
hey, fuck it.
fuck it. I mean, but yeah, I feel the same way. Star Wars has just been something from it's the first movie that I remember seeing like in a theater. Me and you went to Target with our dad. We got the shirts, we got the lightsabers. We went to go see Revenge of the Sith. That it was opening weekend, and that was the
Yeah,
first. The Battle of Mustafar was like the first thing that really hit me when I was a kid, and our dad just he grew up with the originals.
yeah,
He really imprinted this whole universe onto us, really, and like he would play Empire Strikes Back on the VHS. We got the VHS with us today. He would start it from when Luke is in the Bacta tank. He would rewind it to that point, and then we just skip the beginning for some reason. I don't remember why,
yeah. I
but
don't me either.
maybe that's just where the tape would play.
Maybe that
I
could
don't
be.
I don't
Could
know,
be.
but it's just always something. It's just something that I've always been around, and like I just love talking about, honestly. But yeah, just to get a little more comfortable. I guess like what kind of media you've been consuming lately? Anything good?
Yeah. So I just started The Sopranos.
Mm-hmm.
It's been something that I've been putting off for a while. Don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
But I just decided to start watching it. I'm on like episode 6 right now. It's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm starting to see why so many people talk about it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's really good. The acting's great. Invincible season 2, I guess the midway point. I really like the first season a lot. I'm liking the direction they're going with the second.
I haven't seen the second season yet, so don't spoil
I
anything.
won't, but they're on their mid season break right now. I don't know when that's supposed to come back.
Yeah.
I think soon.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. I mean, I just hope they don't fuck it up. That's all I gotta
Sure,
say.
sure.
That's really it for media. I mean, movie wise, like I haven't really seen that many like movies lately.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, no, there's not really that much. I play a lot of video games, so I've been playing Hell Let Loose,
Yeah,
which is awesome.
that game. Yeah, that looks pretty sick.
I'm sure people have heard of that. It's a lot of fun. And then you and I play Rainbow Six Siege
Yep.
online together all the
We're
time.
pretty ass, but we do our
We're coppers.
yeah, we
Uh,
do our best.
yeah, I mean, we've been playing the game on and off since it came
Since
out,
it's yeah, since it
basically.
came out, yeah.
So we're trying.
Yeah, we just started ranked. We
Yeah,
we we've been playing just standard for most of the time we've been playing, but
yeah,
we're dipping our toes into that.
yeah,
Me personally, I'm trying just to catch up on a lot of the releases of 2023. I didn't go to the movies as much as I wanted to last year. That's kind of one of my goals for 2024.
yeah. Me
See
too.
see more new releases. So I eventually it's about a month late now, but I want to do a top list of the 2023 movies. I got a few more to check out, but I just watched this past week the two biopics. We had Ferrari, directed by Michael Mann, and Napoleon, directed by Ridley Scott. Two just historic filmmakers, kind of in the twilight of their career. But it was interesting because two very different results for me. I really, really enjoyed Ferrari. I think Michael Mann just knows how to show like a very driven and motivated character,
Yeah.
and I loved it. And Napoleon, not so much. I thought it was pretty lackluster. I thought the visuals were pretty good. Uh,
Because
but
you and I talked on the phone about
yeah,
Napoleon, and one of the things you said was like too much going on,
yeah, I think that it was just
like different tones that he
different
was
tone.
trying to do.
I think Joaquin Phoenix kind of phoned it in. You had Vanessa Kirby giving a very good performance, and then he was trying to go for some comedy, but then I felt like a lot of the actors were just doing kind of a normal like a normal period piece kind of movie, not necessarily like they maybe didn't understand the tone he was going for.
Yeah.
Kind of disappointing, but and then just a little more background. You're getting over being sick.
Yeah. So if you hear me like cough or clear my throat, I had a lung infection,
Yeah,
so I'm over the hump, but
yeah,
I still have a little,
yeah,
it's still lingering. So I apologize in advance if I cough or anything
yeah.
like
And then
that.
we have some fans that might be in and out.
You probably saw them already.
Yeah, the two Germans, my brother's
They're
dogs.
my dogs. Yeah, they'll
Uh,
be in and out. I apologize if you hear them in the back.
yeah,
They're just gonna do what they're gonna do.
yeah, pretty much. All right, so I mean, let's just kind of jump in, man.
Let's go.
Star Wars: The Phantom Menace,
Yeah.
released in 1999,
Yep.
before my time. I mean, you
I was
were
only a year old.
year old, probably don't fucking remember it.
Nah.
Yeah,
Saw it on VHS.
yeah, that's my first experience with it was on VHS.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm born in 2001, so I
98.
yeah, way before me. Yeah, dude. So I mean, let's just jump in. I mean, so first of all, what I'll say about the movie right away is the opening crawl. I thought it was decent, honestly, because I think sometimes what you get with a lot of the opening crawls, especially in the Disney Star Wars era and stuff, is like just like spewing information onto you. Like,
Yeah.
because I always looked at the opening crawl, especially from episode 4, New Hope, is like because the movies are based off of serial kind of old serials of the past, like
Yeah.
the Rocketeer kind of,
Yeah.
or like that kind of stuff. And so it's like you feel like you're kind of jumping in to like a new episode almost. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And so like the opening crawl, I always feel like is just kind of like, okay, like this is what you missed, almost kind of thing. Not necessarily like an exposition dump.
Right.
So I did think that this opening crawl.
It's the opening crawl is just to set you up for what's about to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought this one did a pretty good job. It was just the Trade Federation blocking trade routes. The Jedi are going to come settle the
And
trade.
they're the ambassadors for the Senate.
Exactly. So I thought that was pretty good. But then we jump in.
This fucking dog, man.
Dude, fucking Theo doing his thing.
He likes Phantom Menace.
Mhm.
Apparently.
You're coming to talk about it. So so yeah, then we jump into the movie. The Trade Federation has set up some kind of blockade. The ship comes in. These two cloaked figures come off the ship.
Yeah.
And basically, for this opening to me is fucking dull, dude.
It's bad.
It's super fucking dull.
It's bad. I mean, especially when you compare it to all the other Star Wars openings we've had.
Yeah.
New Hope. Right away, you're in a chase.
Yes.
Empire. It pans down to Hoth.
Yes.
And you start to see what's going on that planet.
Yeah.
I mean, even Return of the Jedi. This opening was just.
Well, I think too, it's almost trying to set up kind of like a mystery kind of thing, like why is the Trade Federation doing
What
this?
is the Trade Federation?
Yeah, like yeah, I'm still not 100% sure what the Trade Federation is because they have representatives in the Senate, right?
Yes.
But then also at the end of the movie, it's the body Padme's bodyguard says that we're gonna take your trade business away. So I'm not sure if it's a branch of the government or if it's just these people just control the trade. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Dude, I don't know.
It's very convoluted. I feel like
it is super convoluted, and I think he George. When I say he, I'm talking about
Yeah.
George. He was trying to set up like this whole thing, right?
Hmm.
You had the Republic, you had the outlying planets of the Republic,
Yeah.
which are, I'm sorry, that aren't in the Republic.
Hmm.
Like Tatooine,
Hmm.
it's like they're not in the Republic,
Yes.
apparently. Planets like that. Then you have Naboo, which is a big part of the Republic, but the trade is like trying to set up a blockade in front of Naboo.
So it's my understanding that what it sounds like in the movie is that they started increasing Naboo's taxes on trade and things like
Yes.
that, and it was so absurd they could never pay those taxes, or like just like they refused.
Yeah.
So they set up this blockade, right? That's the general
And
thing
then
I
the
understand.
Jedi are coming to negotiate the terms of the trade,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, and but like I said, it's like they're trying to set up this kind of mystery of like the emperor, or this you don't know, it's this cloaked figure. He wants to. I mean, I will say it's completely fucking obvious that
Yeah.
it is a bad guy, one that it is Palpatine because they
Dude, because
sound the same.
they sound the same, and then when he's in the hologram, he's got the fucking cloak on, just like the Emperor had.
Yeah,
He's got the same face,
yeah,
and I know George. Like okay, if you never saw the original three,
yeah,
yeah, you probably won't know who this guy is. But if you've seen the original three,
yeah. I
you
mean,
immediately know he's not fooling anyone. Like
yeah,
this is the
and
Emperor.
and yeah. So it's trying to set up this whole like intrigue, but my problem with it is that it's like because it's trying to set up like why does the emperor want this to stop the trade, and why does he want this blockade? Why does he want to invade the planet, which comes eventually? And but it never really like pays off. The only thing you get from it is that he just wanted there to be a vote of no confidence, which comes later in the movie.
Right.
But
But I think before we get into that, you have to understand because the movie doesn't really tell you what time frame this is taking place.
mhm,
And the only really way that I noticed was Obi-Wan.
sure,
If you've seen the original movies, Obi-Wan's an old man.
yes,
When the Jedi land on the Trade Federation ship and the droid comes in to give them fucking tea or whatever,
yeah,
Qui-Gon says Obi-Wan's name, and then that's what you, the audience member, realize that's Obi-Wan Kenobi.
mhm,
He's a young man here.
yeah.
It kind of gives you a time frame of how far back this is
Sure.
supposed to be. So then if you use that and you see the Emperor, he's obviously younger too.
Hmm.
That's like really your only indication of like when this is going, like how far back
Yeah,
this is taking
and I'm
place.
not saying that like I need my hand held through things,
No,
and
but
like, but at the same time, when you're trying to set up um your story, and this is and George Lucas himself has said that like as if you've never seen the originals, and also that this movie's for children is what he said before. This is a movie for kids. Um, I don't think any fucking kid is gonna follow what's going on here. Like,
there's no child that I know that gives a fuck about politics or even understands politics talk,
yeah, and so
political talk.
I mean, and what I want to get into is some of the logical things of the movie, and it sucks to dive so into this because I'm not a screenwriter, you're not a
I'm not.
screenwriter, but like we've seen enough films to understand and read enough books and things to understand like character logic and story logic of like okay, like I'm willing to suspend my belief in certain things and how things should be done if it's done in an effective way. But immediately the Emperor says he wants him to kill the Jedi, and they
Well,
start.
remember when the Jedi land on the ship, the what are the fucking guys called that have the Japanese accents?
The fucking
The Viceroy.
yeah,
The Viceroy.
he's the vice. I forget what the fucking race is that they are supposed to be.
There's some alien race that for some reason have obvious Japanese accents,
Yes,
and it's so distracting. Like, why couldn't they? I have a point here,
sure.
but for one sec, why do they have Japanese accents, bro?
I don't know.
It's like you could have given them just a regular
I
accent
I
or
think
some type of alien
I
accent.
think in this one especially, there's so many just like weird choices with representation. One is like you have, oh well, this alien race is just all Japanese for some reason, and then you have like the Gungans or the Goongas that George Lucas said one time. Um, like he's like they're like Jamaican kind
I
of, and then
guess.
you have like Watto who's like some kind of like Jewish stereotype or like Middle Eastern stereotype. Like
Yeah,
it's like very like jarring.
it's
Like
super weird.
um
Anyway, the
continue,
the
yeah.
Jedi land on the Trade Federation ship.
Yeah.
Once the Viceroy realized that they're Jedi,
Yeah.
they immediately call
Yeah.
Palpatine
Yeah.
to let him know, hey, these ambassadors that the Senate sent, they're Jedi.
Yeah.
And then Palpatine's like, oh, kill them.
Well, and here's the thing too is, and this is going to keep going into later on in the movie, is he immediately just says kill them, and it's like
Because
you,
the Viceroy was supposed to meet them,
yeah, and but the
but
thing
they
is,
send the droid
but
instead.
and the thing is too is like the Senate sent the Chancellor sent them, the Senate sent them,
Yeah.
and you're just going to kill
But the
them?
Viceroy don't know that he is, or do they know?
No, they don't know.
They don't know that he's in the Senate.
Well, my point is though is that you're just going to kill them. Like, wouldn't that tip off the Senate that there's some kind of problem if their
Right.
two representatives don't return
Yeah.
from their mission? But I mean, once again, this is just kind of the weird logic of the movie. But here's the thing: is he tells them to kill them. One, they bring them tea and they willingly drink it. They don't poison the tea, which could have been an effective way to kill them.
Yeah.
Then they blow up the ship first to alert them.
Which, by the way, as soon as the ship blows up, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan stand up and draw their lightsabers
Yeah.
as if something's going on right now with them. But just a weird choice. Like, why couldn't Qui-Gon just like look to the side or something, be like, oh, something's not right, like Yoda did before?
Yeah.
But no, they immediately lightsabers out, right?
Well, that's the thing, and it even just tips them off that something's afoot, and then they still
kill them first, then blow up,
and then they still don't kill them in any. Why don't you just blow the room up? But then they just send gas into the room,
and they take a deep breath.
Yeah, and then the best line of the movie, is when they've been gassed for maybe 10 seconds.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah,
and one of the fucking Trade Federation guys, one of the separatist motherfuckers, is like, they must be dead now. Finish them off.
What does that mean? Finish them off.
And then they open the doors. Like, after literally, I swear, it's probably been like since the gas to that scene, less than 30 seconds. I mean, like, seriously, like, it's just so right away. In just the first 5 minutes of this movie, there's just so many like weird choices that honestly, like, it kind of takes you out of it. It's like you're trying to like they're trying to set up some kind of mystery, like what is the Trade Federation doing? But then there's just these kind of like strange choices that are just like, and then you have another very strange choice is they cut through these fucking droids
like
nothing, and that's a very big problem with these movies is that this is supposed to be the Jedi in their prime.
Yeah.
This is the prime of the Jedi, and then the main enemy that they fight is essentially just stormtroopers. Like, basically, like, it's just like they're just taking on
worse versions of stormtroopers,
just waves of mindless enemies, and like it's supposed to be these kind of like cool action sequences, and you have the John Williams score to go with it, but then it's just like it's like mind-numbingly stupid, to me at least. Like, it's just like I just did not
like the sound effects. Obviously, are good.
THX, great sound, great visuals, even for 1999.
Mostly, yeah. I mean, I thought this was funny too. Like, they gas the room, right?
Yeah.
Oh, they must be dead. Finish them off. They open the doors up. You see gas.
Yeah.
Then you see the lightsabers in the gas. Like, okay, they're not dead.
Yeah.
The droids start blasting.
Yeah.
Then, the two Jedi come out. They start cutting through the droids like nothing. Then the Viceroy says, send the droidicas. There'll be no match for the Jedi will be no match for the droidicas. Okay.
Yeah.
The droidicas roll up. Oh, before they roll up, where are those droidicas?
Yeah.
Because apparently it takes them forever to get there. The droidicas fucking roll up. The Jedi are basically say, fuck this, and they use super speed and run away, which, by the way, is the only time you ever see them do that.
And this is what I want to get This is what I want to get into as well, is, listen,
no.
I'm watching these movies like I would watch any other movie.
Yeah.
Right? I'm watching them as someone that is just watching a movie.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I would watch Lord of the Rings. That's how I'd watch any Marvel movie. I'm not bringing in with me all this fucking lore, all these legends, or some fan fiction piece. Oh, well, actually the super speed is super draining the Jedi. So
this is an important thing you're about to bring
up
here.
Yeah, exactly. And
because a lot of people will say, "Oh, there's a canonical reason for why they did it in this scene, and oh, there's these legends, and there's these comic books. Look, I get that there's other media that explains a lot of things about these
Mm-hmm.
movies outside of the movies,
Exactly.
but I'm not. I'm watching the movie.
Exactly.
So when I'm watching the movie, like you just said, why don't they do this again?
Mm-hmm.
There's a
You've
there's a
established that
there's
this
a
is something that they can do now,
right.
without and that's the thing, in the movie they never explain how
Because
they could do that,
I could
why
think
they
of a
can't
pretty
do it
important
again.
scene where they could have used that again
Yeah,
towards the end of
I
the
think we're
movie,
thinking of the same thing.
and they don't.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
fucking hell,
So
man.
like, and to me, this is just one of the examples, and we'll see more of them. I think of just George Lucas just kind of just lazy writing. Like
Yeah,
he just didn't know how to get them out of this situation, or he just wanted to show off some kind of new power, but just no real thought went into it. I feel like,
yeah,
and that kind of it sucks because when you set something up like that, now there's an expectation of like, okay, like why haven't we seen that again? You know what I mean?
yep.
And so yeah, they sprint down the hallway. They
They
they,
get away.
they get away. They
They go in the vents.
yeah. Then they want to. They're in the ventilation
They're in
shaft.
the ventilation shaft.
That fucking guy, dude.
The voice is so distracting, dude.
Yeah. And so then they decide we're gonna go down to Naboo on separate ships.
For
Um,
some reason.
yeah. Fucking. I mean, these points have been talked to death, but like, we have to discuss it. Like,
Yeah, we do.
I mean, it's like separate. Like, what if they do land on opposite sides of the planet? I mean, and like, you could say like, okay, like, will they have the force drawing them together,
Sure.
but it's just like it's just so inconvenient. Like, why the fuck would they do that?
Yeah, no. Why couldn't they both just get
Yeah.
onto one ship?
Um. Yeah. So they go on separate ships. We cut to Naboo. Qui-Gon's running on fucking Naboo. The fucking basically tanks are following him,
Yeah.
and we're introduced to Jar Jar Binks.
Oh boy.
Fucking
The worst character in the movie.
yeah. And here's the thing. Um. We both just watched this yesterday. We
Yes.
both, so this is fresh,
It's fresh.
and I watched this movie also before this time, like a couple months ago. And what I'll say, the actor who plays Jar Jar, I can't recall his name off the top of my head. Ahmad Best, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's what his name is.
I think so.
No ill will towards this guy, man.
No.
And I'm not hating on him. I'm hating on the direction and the writing that he was given.
Yeah.
Okay? Because I just don't understand why you have to include this slapstick fucking humor into this movie, dude. Like, it's just fucking ridiculous. Like,
It doesn't need it.
it's I'm it,
Okay, I get why George thought they needed a Gungan because that becomes important later on, right? Because they need the Gungan's help later on in
yeah.
the movie. But why does he have to be so distracting the whole movie?
Yeah, it's just a very weird choice, especially because like, I mean, like, it's just
I have an interesting point to bring up about this, but go ahead.
in every other movie, including the other prequels, the slapstick humor is just, it's not there. It's like you still have Jar Jar and he'll say stupid shit in the other two movies.
But they tone him way
Yeah, and
down.
it's just like I just don't understand. And like I get he wanted this to be targeted towards kids, but I mean like I guess we're maybe not the best examples, but when I was a kid, I mean like yeah, like the Three Stooges were funny when I was young, but like that's that thing.
When I was really young, if I wanted to watch something funny, I put on SpongeBob.
Yeah.
I'm not putting on Star Wars to get a laugh.
Yeah, and
You know what I mean?
and that's the thing, is that these movies always, they usually do such a good job of like incorporating humor, and like you have like just like, but it feels so natural that these, there's just shots in this movie where it's just completely interrupted by like some stupid fucking thing going on. And I mean, and George Lucas just, he loves just putting like stupid shit just into the frame. I mean, we've seen with the special editions of the originals, just have
Yeah.
some CGI fucking blob just cross the screen for some fucking reason. Let's throw in, let's change the song in Return of the Jedi and make it just utter nonsense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just very weird choices.
He likes to do this weird shit for
And
no reason.
I wonder if it's he wants to make it more, if he's trying to make it more kid friendly in his own way, but it the movies themselves were never not meant for children. There's nothing in them that's explicitly not meant for children. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? You know what I'm
right.
saying? But Yeah, so we get interest. I mean, did you have a point about?
Yeah, so this was my point that I thought was interesting, right? The Jedi are supposed to be these ambassadors of peace.
Mm-hmm.
They're supposed to like treat every life form that they meet with politeness and grace,
Mm-hmm.
and they're generally Jedi are nice people.
Sure, sure.
When Qui-Gon meets Jar Jar, he wants absolutely nothing to do with him
Until he owes him a life
until he
debt.
owes him a life debt.
Yeah,
No, but this was interesting to me. Qui-Gon meets several new characters like throughout the course of the movie, but he treats Jar Jar like shit,
yeah.
like multiple times. And it's like I would too if I was Qui-Gon because Jar Jar is super
I
fucking
mean,
annoying.
even Obi-Wan kind of is a dick to him too.
Well, Obi-Wan is a dick to Anakin,
Yeah, and
but it just if you're talking about I'm just talking about like how Jedi are supposed to be,
mm-hmm.
and like he's just a complete asshole to this
Yeah,
fucking Gungan.
yeah, um, yeah, and we'll get more into this later. But honestly, I feel like most of the Jedi in this movie are just kind of dicks.
Yeah,
They're very and like
yeah,
I get well, and we'll talk more about it later. But I get that George is trying to portray them as these like monk type because like this is the prime, this is how they used to be, and we'll get more into it a little bit. And I think he's trying to go for like they are a little hypocritical, you know. But we'll talk more about that later.
yeah.
So
So let's continue.
So he saves Jar Jar's life.
Yeah,
Uh, they link up with Obi-Wan right away. I mean, like I don't know how.
Obi-Wan literally runs around the
Yeah,
corner and then he's just
we
there.
don't know how much time has passed, but I mean,
Doesn't matter.
they somehow find each other through the Force. We'll just fucking say.
Sure.
And then he leads them to the Gungan city underwater.
Well, yeah, because Qui-Gon says he needs to get to the Queen,
Yes, and
but then Jar Jar says, "Oh, something about like it'll be impossible. Oh, I know of a safe place we could
yeah,
go
and
to get us there."
yeah, he's been exiled.
He's been banished because he's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, basically. And then
So they have to go underwater.
I will say here though, I really like the design of the Gungan like city. I think
It's cool.
it's really cool. I think it's like, and I even like the character design of the Gungans. I think it's a pretty unique
Just change the
alien.
voice.
I mean, the voice is just very off-putting. Yeah. So then they meet the head.
Boss Nass.
Yeah, the
Is
head.
that his name?
I can't remember.
I think it is his Boss Nass.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That guy.
Yeah,
That guy.
the planet core.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They go, and Jar Jar even tells them like they don't like outsiders,
hmm
but I'm gonna bring you anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm banished, but fuck it.
Yeah. They don't
show
give a
up
fuck.
immediately. Like one of the Gungan guards is like, "Stop! What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Jar Jar, who are these people?
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, these people saved my life. Like they need to talk to Boss Nass." All right, whatever. So they
Yeah.
go talk to Boss Nass, and doesn't Qui-Gon do a mind trick on him?
Yeah. He just openly mind tricks him. I mean, like I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, he wants to get what he wants, but I will say is that later on he decides not to mind trick them towards the end of the movie. We'll get to that later, but
Which he could have done.
yeah. So basically he mind tricks them into giving them a
ship
boat
and telling them where to go.
Yeah, basically they got to go to the planet core.
Which, by the way, they have to go through the planet's core to get to Naboo. Kind of.
It's I mean, I'm willing to like suspend this because I guess it's on the other side.
Sure.
And maybe this planet's core is all water. I guess.
Sure.
Fuck it. Whatever. Then there's there's always a bigger fish scene. But here's the thing: it's like during that scene, Jar Jar's just fucking rambling about bullshit, and you just see Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan just do not give a fuck. And I don't know if it's Liam Neeson and Ewan McGregor like getting pissed off, or if it's like this is how George just directed them.
Yeah,
but like
I think it's his direction. Like, just act like you don't care.
Yeah, literally. And
they do.
And then the fish comes and Jar Jar's fucking screaming and Qui-Gon's just in the back like he doesn't give a fuck. And then
there's always a bigger fish.
And then the fish comes and bites the other fish and eats the other fish, and it's like.
But their ship gets damaged, so they have to go hide in this little hole.
Yeah.
Then like they're trying to like reboot the systems. Jar Jar's freaking out, and I don't know if you noticed this, but Qui-Gon puts his hand on Jar Jar's shoulder. He does like a Spock thing.
I don't remember that,
no. Dude. I swear to God. So like, I was watching, and he like Jar Jar's like losing his fucking mind.
Yeah.
And Qui-Gon literally goes like this, and he says, "Calm down or relax or something," and then Jar Jar like faints and passes out.
Oh, I remember him saying. I don't remember him passing out. That's hilarious.
He goes like this and then like passes out.
Okay.
And I'm like, I had to pause the movie. I'm like, did he just like Spock him?
I guess, yeah.
He's just got tired of his shit. It was like, shut the fuck up,
Yeah.
basically. Because that's what happens. He touches him, tells him
Mm-hmm.
to relax. He passes out. Then they start like going on again.
Mm-hmm.
That other fish starts chasing them. Then Jar Jar he comes to and starts freaking out again because there's that other big fish.
Yeah.
But I was just curious if you noticed
No,
that.
I
Like
mean, but the whole thing with this the fish thing and then the fish eating, it's just like
another goofy moment that didn't really need
and
to be.
almost just like fake. It's like just fake wisdom kind of too from Qui-Gon, like, oh, there's always a bigger fish. It's like, I mean, like, I maybe it's just
You're
me.
right, Qui Gon, but like why? Like
It's I mean, maybe it's just me nitpicking, but I think like there is a couple moments in the movie where it's like they want to show how like wise Qui-Gon is and like what he's very in tune with the Force, but like I think everyone in this movie that talks about the Force sounds fucking stupid, including Yoda in this movie. Does not feel like Yoda at all. Like, and I think in the later prequels they do a better job with him,
yeah.
but in this movie, he just feels like an asshole. Like he just
Oh,
like
big time.
and I think and even Qui Gon like there's always a bigger fish. Like okay, like I mean, like it's a one off line, but it's one of those times where they're just trying to make him seem a little wise, and like I just don't buy it. So then they make it to Naboo.
Well, they're already on Naboo.
Well, they make it to the
The
fucking the
palace.
palace, and they cut through some more droids to get to the queen.
Well, the droids are escorting the
Yeah.
queen and her handmaidens and that black dude who's like her bodyguard.
Mm-hmm.
And Qui Gon and Obi Wan are like up on this like railing with Jar
Yeah,
Jar.
and Obi Wan 2 times does the double kick
Yeah,
in that scene. They really like the double kick.
yeah, where he jumps up, kicks two
Yeah,
droids.
we get another shot of that.
And it's like okay, this is another nitpicky thing. Okay, if you wanted to do the double kick, cool, but couldn't he just like use the Force and like
They don't use the Force a lot in this movie.
they do like a couple like Force pushes on
Yeah,
the droids,
a couple mind
a
tricks,
couple mind
and then you
tricks,
have at the end Darth Maul like force pushes.
that thing into the door.
Oh, I meant he force pushes Obi Wan.
That too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's they talk about the Force a lot and they talk about midichlorians a lot.
Oh, we'll get into
Yeah,
that.
but they don't really use it that often. And like once again, you have the John Williams music. You have it's something that's supposed to feel suspenseful because it like in the original trilogy or even in just any kind of like any movie where there's like shooting back and forth where you have like but I'll just use like Han and Leia and Chewie as an example. You know they're not going to die, but at least that there's some kind of tension where you feel like that they can get maybe like off course or maybe they can get delayed or like in A New Hope, Vader's coming, but and the stormtroopers are shooting at them, you know, and when they're trying to get out of the spaceport, so like you feel like something could happen because they're more on the same level
Well,
as
okay,
the enemies they're fighting.
we know that the characters aren't going to die because we've seen the movies a bunch of times. But imagine seeing them for the first time.
Exactly,
So
yeah,
you don't know that Han might get shot and killed or Leia might
yeah,
die.
that's
You know what I
true.
mean?
But I mean, in this instance, though, I mean, yeah, we know Obi Wan lives, but Qui Gon, yeah, we don't know what's gonna happen to him, but I'm not really worried about him against these motherfuckers. Like it to me, it's just like there's, it just loses me with there's just no tension. There's not even really like that much of a conflict happening. Like you're worried about maybe the human characters, but the two Jedi, I'm not really worried about them at this point.
Yeah. So they jump down from the railing. They rescue the queen and her all her little minions
Mm-hmm.
and her bodyguard. Qui Gon has a little exchange with the queen, telling her like what did he say? Like
Got to get her out of
we
there.
gotta take her to the Senate.
Yeah, and she doesn't want to leave her people.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah.
we have to get to a ship so we can get you out of here,
Mm-hmm.
Queen.
Yeah, so then I mean, they get on the ship, and this is fucking really crazy. Is there's this whole blockade that is supposed to be stopping anything from entering or exiting,
Yes.
but as long as your deflector shields are operational, you can get through the blockade. I don't
Which
understand.
I feel like most ships have, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
I don't understand. Like, and also
but
too, it's also established too that like the people of Naboo, while they don't have a crazy military, they do have
right.
an air force. They have a lot of ships. We see that at the end of the movie. They have a lot of pilots. Are all their deflector shields not working? I don't understand.
Yeah, me either.
Um
But see, like, and here's like where you get like there is this cool sequence though. I mean, where they get on the ship, they're trying to exit Naboo. The blockade is trying to stop them.
Yeah.
Again, great sound effects, great music.
Yeah.
The effects are really cool, and that's the thing about this movie as a whole that I noticed, like, from watching it again, is like there's a lot of little moments
Mm-hmm.
where I'm like, man, this movie could have been so much better.
Yeah.
And then one line of dialogue or one
Yeah.
goofy ass scene takes you right out of it.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I'm watching Phantom Menace.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like that whole scene where like they lose power for a while and they're still not getting blown up, and then they send out all the droids, including R2D2, which a little side note is I don't understand why they have to include these fucking characters in the movie.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean,
it's cool that he's there.
I get they say like, oh yeah, Obi-Wan used to own a droid, perhaps. And I guess like it's kind of a reference to that. Like, why he doesn't need to be like a part of the movie,
I mean, he
really.
basically saves them.
Yeah, and like same thing with like C-3PO in this. It's like he definitely didn't need to be fucking here.
3PO definitely did not. I get R2 because he is an astro
Yeah,
droid.
but I mean, like this is a thing too that you see. Like it's funny because like we talk about like with modern movies like the fan service kind of thing, and then
Yeah.
here you have all the way back in 1999, you're still getting these kind of like weird
Fan
fan
service
service
things.
Yeah, about characters that they're important.
They're side characters.
But I don't give a fuck about 3PO really.
I mean, I've never liked 3PO.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more of a nostalgia thing for me to see him. But R2's always been cool.
Yeah.
But
so yeah, the droids, they fix the ship, or
R2 saves the
R2,
ship.
and
all the other they literally send like 5 astro droids out there.
Yeah.
They all get blown up immediately, and R2 doesn't for some reason.
Yeah, but
and he's able to fix it. And then the guy has that line. He's like, "The power's back on!"
And then they just get through the blockade.
And they get through the blockade. And
I mean,
gone.
I get to they do mention that they had a tracker on that ship later.
They do.
Yeah.
Because
Darth Maul says like I tracked them to where they are.
No, I don't think there was a tracker.
Yeah, because how does he know that they're on Tatooine?
Because of the fucking transmission that they weren't supposed to send.
Maybe so maybe they tracked the transmission. I don't recall exactly, but the point being is that if there was a tracker, I could see maybe why they would let him through. But if there isn't, and how do they know that that's her ship? You know what I mean? I mean, I guess she has a special ship, but I don't know. I just don't understand how they got through the blockade. It's really puzzling to me.
Yeah.
And then this is so fucking good. They thank R2 for his service, and the fake queen sends the real queen to go fucking clean him up. She has all these handmaidens, and she's like, Padme, go.
Hey, Padme, go clean this droid.
Yeah, I'm like, what the?
And it's like, okay, I kind of get it because they're trying to really make you sell that she's not the queen.
Yeah.
But why not send another handmaiden?
Did you notice too that like even when Padme in this movie doesn't have her makeup on, she still kind of has that weird voice sometimes.
Yeah.
And then in the other two movies, they completely drop.
They drop the voice.
Yeah, I'm wondering if
I think that was just to like disguise her even more from.
Yeah, I'm wondering too if that's just kind of like a Naboo like royalty thing where you have to put on some bullshit, because like Natalie Portman's I think it's more just once again the direction and like her acting in this is stiff when she's the queen, and I don't know.
When she's not the queen though, there are some scenes like when she's talking to Annie.
Yeah,
I'm like, holy shit.
And and that's the thing is like once again I don't want to blame the actors and stuff like that because I've seen them do good things.
Yes.
And yeah, I don't know what the fuck was going on. So if they get through the blockade, they
get to Coruscant.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
No. They get to Tatooine.
They get to Tatooine because they can't make it to Coruscant
because of the hyperdrive. It is malfunctioning, and I think going to Tatooine makes a lot of sense. I mean, like they said, like it's not controlled by the Republic.
It's out of the Trade Federation's reach.
Yep. What does not make sense to me though is they go to one guy to get the hyperdrive.
Yeah.
Qui-Gon chooses this. We'll go to one of the big dealers. Okay, he says that one of the big dealers chooses one. Watto says no one else has it. I'm the one that has it. Qui-Gon buys it like right away.
Why didn't he fact check him?
Yeah, and like it's just like once again, it's like something small, but it kind of just takes you out of it. You're just
Qui-Gon's supposed to be this wise Jedi.
Yeah.
But right away he just buys what Watto tells him.
Like, yep. And then
I mean, granted, I doubt any other dealer would accept Republic credits too.
But I don't know. I mean,
but you don't know.
But that's because my thought process has always been I get like
here's a thought. instead of having Obi-Wan stay on the ship,
Yeah, I was gonna backtrack a
let's
little.
send Obi-Wan to a different dealer
Yeah,
so that they could cover more
and
ground.
this is and
Maybe
this
Obi-Wan could have found one. Hey, this guy takes Republic credits. He has it. Boom. That's it.
yeah. So I'll make my point, and then I kind of want to backtrack a little bit, but um, it's like it's just what was the fuck was I gonna say about Qui Gon?
He goes to Watto.
He just buys it right away,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it's like he's supposed to be, and it takes me out of the movie because it's just like why wouldn't he investigate it all? Like, and he just buys what this scummy dude is saying, and then the Republic credits thing is like what I always thought, even when I was younger, like not that much younger, but the previous times I've watched this, it's like you mean to tell me that like nobody from the Republic ever comes through here? This is a spaceport, you know,
Yeah.
like they're most honestly like they were coming in and out all the fucking time. There's all these junkers. People are probably coming to get parts, and you're telling me that nobody from the Republic ever comes through. Like these Republic credits are completely useless. I mean,
It's another weird choice.
it's a weird, and once again, it's small, but it's just another
I
weird.
feel like it's another thing just to keep the plot going.
Yes.
Because if they did take the Republic credits, he never would have met Anakin.
Yeah.
They would have just been able to buy the part, and they would have been gone.
And once again, that is the movie's logic, and
Yes.
and like I can suspend it like a little bit just to kind of buy into the story, but it's once again it's something small that kind of takes me out of it.
Yeah, I agree.
So I do want to backtrack though, because this is where things get interesting. Is they decide to leave Obi-Wan on the ship, and we
Yeah.
follow Qui-Gon and Padme into.
Oh, you're forgetting something. Padme wasn't supposed to come with Qui-Gon.
Yeah, that's true.
It was just going to be Qui-Gon and R2.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why R2, but I think as he had the plan readouts for the ship or something. Okay,
like
fine, whatever. Qui-Gon's leaving, and here comes Padme with her bodyguard.
Yeah.
And the bodyguard, they're still trying to put on this facade that Padme isn't the queen.
Yeah.
And the bodyguard's like, it's the queen wishes to come
Yeah.
with. Qui-Gon says, this is a bad idea. This is a bad area. Like, I don't think it's a good idea. And then he basically insists.
Yeah.
The queen is insisting that she comes. She's curious about the planet.
Sure.
And Qui-Gon's like, this is a bad idea, but all right, whatever.
Yeah.
So here come now Padme's along with her too. And I think the black guy, right? Doesn't he go with?
No, Jar Jar goes with.
Jar Jar goes
for some
with.
reason, because he's
Why?
wife deaded to Qui-Gon.
Ah, that's right.
But no. So what I want to talk about though is that this is where the movie completely loses me, right? Because I want to dive into the characters a little bit. Is who at this point is the main character of this movie?
There isn't one.
Like, is it Qui-Gon? I don't really think so. We know nothing about anybody. We kind of get that Qui-Gon is okay. He's a Jedi Master. He seems like he might be wise, and it seems like he's in tune with the Force. Obi-Wan seems like he's just kind of this like young, brash Padawan. That's all I know about these fucking dudes.
But then, I have to play devil's advocate a little bit here because in the original trilogy, there really isn't a main. I mean, Luke is the main character.
But Luke is the one that is guiding us through the story.
True. But in Empire, there's like full-on scenes without Luke.
Yeah, because but that's because we've already established the other characters, and and I like Empire because it's diving into the other characters a little more. So the first movie established the main group, and then the second movie is exploring on that. This movie, the two characters we first see are Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. Okay, they're the main characters. Then Obi-Wan gets completely cut out of the movie
for literally like a good chunk of the movie.
I paused it because I wanted to get the numbers. They land on Tatooine at about the 30-minute mark.
Yeah.
They do not leave Tatooine until the hour 15 mark. There's a 45 minutes where they're on Tatooine. And Obi-Wan does nothing that entire time. And we're introduced to two new other characters. Anakin and his mother Shmi.
With bad name.
Bad name, bad acting. Yeah, and so then one of our main characters is completely out of the movie now. And we are following Qui-Gon and the handmaiden who we don't know anything about besides that she's a handmaiden, and Jar Jar who's just annoying as fuck. And it's just very.
Oh, and Jar Jar almost gets killed by Sebulba because he's.
Jar Jar just does a bunch of. He steps in shit. Usa doo doo. He gets like and like. There's so many. Tatooine is where he really shines. Getting his tongue stuck in the fucking energy link or whatever. His tongue gets numb. he keeps fucking trying to grab
Bro,
fruit with his tongue, and Obi-Wan,
bro.
please stop doing that.
As soon as they get to the spaceport, you see those like hanging like
Yeah,
dead animal
yeah,
things.
and that fucking.
Why does he assume that he could just take that
I mean,
without paying for it?
I mean, I don't know. Like
So
he's just a fucking
he's a
idiot.
fucking moron.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
he starts to take it. Then the guy's like, "Hey, you got to pay for that." And
yeah,
he's like, "Oh!" And then it flies out of his mouth, it lands on Sebulba.
yeah.
Sebulba attacks. He was gonna kill that
He
motherfucker.
he literally just causes more trouble for them.
But that was an inciting moment for little Annie to come in
Yeah, and yeah. So
because the Anakin comes up and shit talks the fuck out of Sebulba.
yeah, and so but
And for some reason, Sebulba can't touch Anakin because he's a slave.
that makes sense.
I guess.
I mean,
Yeah,
like
because then he would
it's
have
like
to.
someone's property. You would
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
pay
yeah.
for it. You bring us a bone.
Oh wow.
um, so, but my point is though is so they take out Obi-Wan. We're focusing on Qui-Gon, and it's now okay. So now Qui-Gon is like the main character, I guess. But then that 45 minutes, we focus more on Anakin and his story, and like, okay, like who is he? We're finding more about him, and it's not like an Empire where you're introducing Lando, who's like a side character.
Mm-hmm.
This is now one of the main characters
Yep.
now, and we have to learn about his whole story. It's not like what I was going to compare this to was Iron Man, the original Iron Man from 2008. He's not like Yinsen, some like side character. But think about Iron Man for a second. So you have the opening 20, 30 minutes of the movie, right? Of him, we kind of learn about Tony Stark. We learn about how he's kind of a playboy. We learn about his backstory, and then we it cuts to he gets the shrapnel in his chest, and he's stuck in this fucking desert cave. Imagine if in Iron Man you have just a normal movie going, and then at the 30-minute mark, we just spend 45 minutes with him in the cave, just doing cave shit. Like, you know what?
Yeah.
And then the last 10, 15 minutes of that is him building his suit and him, because that's basically what happens in this movie, is
Yes.
that
Yes.
it's we're just learning about Anakin, and we're kind of understanding that he has a maybe he's in touch with the Force, um and that we kind of learn a little bit more about the world, and maybe him and his and relationship with Padme, and then at the end we have the pod race, and then he wins and whatever. But that would be interesting if he was one of the main characters, because after we get off Tatooine, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. He's just not an important character anymore. He goes with the Jedi, and he's just following them around the rest of the movie. I mean, at the end, yes, he does get in the ship and he is a part of the end battle, but he's just added. He's essentially Obi-Wan for the rest of the movie, where he doesn't really have that much dialogue. So it's like you're setting up all this shit with Anakin, and then there's just very little payoff to me.
Yeah.
And so that kind of my rant is just about how I'm just not sure who the main character of this movie is, because
It jumps around.
I don't have any connection with Qui-Gon. There's nothing, because it like a Luke Skywalker, a Marty McFly, an Iron Man. Your connection with the characters is you see them go through their struggle. You see them almost fail. You see them maybe get new friends along the way, and
I mean, and in this movie, you do see Theo. No, you do see Qui-Gon struggle a little bit to get the part for the ship, but you don't see Obi-Wan at all.
well, I mean, Qui-Gon struggles to get the part, but that's just because he's an idiot.
Yeah.
It's not because like, oh, like there's just
And you know what? I don't give a fuck. It's very convenient that Watto's race can't be mind tricked.
yeah. I mean, once again, it is another plot thing. So yeah, we'll jump back into the story, but so that is another plot point, that he can't be mind tricked,
So
and
now
that
Qui-Gon has to use his wisdom to figure out how to get through the
yeah, and then
situation.
so he's just gonna leave basically, but they're like we'll have to figure out a different way, and then the sandstorm comes, and Annie's like, no, like stay with me. Um, yeah, and then he basically explains this whole pod racing thing to them, and that he's really good at it. And then this is where the plot gets like, I can follow it, but it just gets very convoluted.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I mean, you know what I'm talking about, is like, I built the pod, and you're gonna say that you won the pod at a game of chance. And
Yep.
then you're gonna get Watto to front the racer for a race, and I'll front the pod, right?
Yeah.
And
Because
then
Qui-Gon says, "I've happened to come upon
yeah,
a
in a
pod
game of chance.
in a game of
Yeah.
chance."
So then you front the pod, I'll front the racer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
No, it won't.
Yeah,
Fucking Watto.
yeah. So, and then they're like, okay, so then if you win, you get to keep the ship. If Watto wins, he gets to keep the ship and all the winnings. And then if Qui-Gon wins, you can still keep the winnings minus what I need for the parts. That's the original offer.
Yep.
So I mean, like, okay, it's
fine.
It's making sense. And then I mean, I'm skipping ahead, but eventually he wants to include the slaves to it. So basically, it's a dice game on top of the bet. So like, if even if Annie loses, this doesn't matter. So it's only if he wins.
Right.
And then,
but keep in mind.
Oh, sorry. I also forgot that Watto said that he already put all this money on Sabalba, and Qui-Gon's like, "I'll take you up on that," and he's putting all of his money on Annie now. And
yeah.
So if Annie wins, it's a lot.
It's a very confusing bet.
Yeah, I mean,
so he makes the original bet, then he does a little side action.
Yeah,
which is if I win, then I get to take. Well, originally he wants to take Annie and his mom,
but and he's gonna give him the pod. That's the alternative bet if he loses now too, because he said no pod is worth 2 slaves.
Right.
So like I don't understand how the pod came into effect of the bet. I guess
it's very confusing.
Like because that wasn't part of the original bet.
No.
And then so I guess he's saying because he doesn't have any money, so I think he's fronting the pod for.
No, he puts the ship up.
Yeah, so how does the pod come into play? Because he said no racer is worth 2 slaves. That's his exact words.
Yeah.
I don't understand how that comes into play.
I don't know. But, but Qui-Gon wants to, basically, if he wins, he wants to get Annie and Shmi.
Yeah.
But then that's when Watto says no pod is worth 2 slaves.
Yeah.
So then
they do the dice game.
Then he rolls the dice. Red is for Shmi, blue is for Anakin.
And he rigs it. Which I don't have a problem with that.
I don't either, because
we've already established that they can do mind tricks. I don't have a problem with him trying to get his way. But once again, later on, it comes into effect. But continue.
But he rigs it so I know. Yeah. He's a character.
Yeah.
He rigs it so that Annie is the one he's gonna get.
Yeah, basically.
Which is fine because he's a kid. So I guess if you're gonna take one of them, you might as well take the kid.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I don't. Does Qui-Gon? Did he already do the midichlorian shit with him?
No,
we kind of skipped a lot.
Yeah. So then this is the thing where it gets into, and this is also a pet.
Okay, wait. So we got to back up a lot.
Sure.
We kind of went too far ahead. So Qui-Gon, Jar Jar, Padme, and R2. They go to Watto. He asks him for the part. Watto says, "I'm the only dealer around here that has this part," and Qui-Gon just fucking believes him.
Yeah.
Whatever. We established that was stupid. Qui-Gon just says, "All right, fuck it, I'm out of here."
Yeah.
He starts to leave, and Padme this whole time was talking to little Annie.
Yeah.
And that's where you start to learn more about Anakin. He built a pod.
And I want once again, not to interrupt you. The performance that Jake Lloyd is giving, I think, is fine
for a little kid.
A little kid, because I don't know how old he is, but he looks like he's like 7 or 8. Once again, very weird because
Jake, the age gap.
Because I'm pretty sure I don't know all the lore, but I'm pretty sure Anakin's supposed to be 10.
Yeah.
And Padme's supposed to be 15.
Yeah.
Natalie Portman, I can buy as 15 in this movie.
Sure.
Jake Lloyd looks like he's like 6 or 7 years old.
Yeah, seriously.
Like
he doesn't look 10.
Yeah, it's a little fucked up. I mean, I'm just being real, especially when in the later movies, I'm just like this. It doesn't make any sense. But yeah. So like you were saying, then the sandstorm comes and he.
Well, okay. So you learn more about Anakin.
Yeah.
He's super mechanically inclined. He built his own pod race.
Yeah.
He built a robot. He wants to show Padme.
Sure.
He asks Padme, "Are you an angel?"
Yeah. Yippee!
Yeah.
The writing is terrible.
It's very bad. Jar Jar gets into a little scuffle with a droid.
Press its nose.
Yeah, press its nose. Oh,
yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So then they go back to the ship.
No, they go to Anakin.
Oh yeah, because the sandstorm comes, which prevents them from going back to the ship. So Anakin's like, "Oh, come to my place. We can use it as shelter for the storm."
Yeah.
And then I think there's a little exchange we get with Obi-Wan on the radio. He goes.
Yeah, I have to pee really bad.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm gonna stop the video too.
I hope it's been recording, bro.
It's been recording. We're good.
All right.
All right, continue.
Yeah, we just took a little pee break there.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I think Obi-Wan gets a little. He's trying to make contact with Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon lets him know what's going on. I've come into contact with a slave boy or something that we're gonna. He basically explains to Obi-Wan what's going on.
Yeah, essentially.
Um, and Obi-Wan. Oh, he tells Obi-Wan to make sure they don't send any transmissions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because that'll basically give away their position
Sure.
and where they are at. So Obi-Wan's like, all right, cool. So he goes back on the ship. Then we get into this like whole sequence with Qui-Gon, Shmi, Annie, Jar Jar, Padme.
Yeah, and then this is where, because there's the scene where they're at dinner, and then there's where I think he's working on the pod the next day or something like that, and they start revealing about maybe he's not normal, that he sensed that he's very strong in the Force, something like that.
I
Uh,
sense there's no fooling you. That's what Qui-Gon
yeah,
says to him.
um, yeah, and this is where it gets into the things though that I really hate about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I personally am just because she says that who's Anakin's father? There was none. I carried him to birth. I fucking hate that shit in movies. In this just doesn't apply to Star Wars. I just hate the Jesus or Savior symbolism in movies. It's just so like on the nose. Anytime it's done. I mean, like you have like in Man of Steel where he's fucking, floating in space with his arms and then the sun, you have like, yeah, and like, once again in Man of Steel, you have he's in the church and there's literally the stained glass window of I think it's Jesus or it's Mary or something behind him. And then, like and then now in this you have he's conceived from the Force and like I get they want to show how powerful he is, but it's like you're very clearly the savior symbolism, and then also we get into later the prophecy. There's some prophecy of the one who's going to bring balance to the Force. Shit like that in any movie, I think, is very just overdone, very corny.
What about the Matrix?
Of being the one, I think that's a good point. I think, but once again, you have in the first movie where it's the whole time you're like, okay, like maybe he's not the one, and
Yeah,
and I think it plays on it nicely, but even
but like
then,
okay,
but even
no, that's a good point because you're right. In the first Matrix, you don't know if he is the one or not.
mm-hmm.
In this movie, the Jedi Council is like, oh, how do we know this boy is the one?
Wait, they even
He
say
was born of the Force.
even
There was no father. What do you think?
Yoda even says later, even if he is, he's still dangerous. Like, and
Yeah,
it's very interesting. And I will say, even in the Matrix, I think having him be like the chosen one or something like that, like, and it's like the Oracle. That's like my least favorite part of the movie, honestly, because if you remember, like in the other two movies, Revelations and I can't remember the other ones called. My point being is that they get really into like the Oracle
yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I
yeah,
and that's the shit I don't like.
yeah.
I don't really like that in movies. I think that like even in Harry Potter, where it's revealed that he's the chosen one, it's like because what you're doing at that point is you're saying that only
Only that person could have done everything
and
that
and
they've
and,
done.
and that's the thing where we at, and this is kind of a little tangent, but like that's where we're at with Star Wars now, where it's like the Skywalker lineage now is the only lineage in the movie canon that can like defeat these evils. Like, because you're basically saying now that like oh like it has to be one of these people. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
look at someone like a Spider-Man, where it's like he just happened to get bit by a spider. Now in the Spider Verse they do kind of change that. Spoiler alert, but he just happens to get bit by a spider. He happens to become Spider-Man. It could have been anybody,
yeah. That's
and
why Spider-Man's such a good
and
character.
but it was the right person. He was such a good person. It was the right. It ultimately was the right decision. But now in this, it's like even if Anakin's a dick, which low key he is later, in the
But
late.
you know what though, dude? Like they kind of explore that with these prequel movies.
Hmm,
Being the chosen one isn't all it's
that's true.
cracked up to be.
That's true.
And Anakin feels the pressure of that, and that's ultimately one of the reasons he
That's
fails.
yeah. I think that's a good point. Honestly, I do think that George Lucas is not known for subtlety. I'll
No,
say,
everything is on the nose.
but I will say that he does, in his own way, kind of deconstruct the chosen one kind of thing. That is a good point. And eventually though, as we know later on, Anakin does fulfill the prophecy
Technically, yes.
technically. So yeah, and but then this is the other point I want to get to. I want to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah.
Midichlorians.
Well, yeah.
Thoughts on
Well,
midichlorians?
that's where we're at in terms of discussing the movie.
Yeah.
We're at the part now where Qui-Gon is learning more about Anakin, and Shmi tells him,
Gets a midichlorian count on him too.
well, yeah, that's because Anakin was working on the pod racer and he cuts his arm. So Qui-Gon is like bandaging him up, and then he pricks him really quick.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And he's like, "Ow, what are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I'm just testing your blood for infection.
Yeah.
Go, run along now."
Yeah.
Then he fucking calls Obi-Wan.
To get a midichlorian count.
It's like, "Hey, I need you to analyze this blood sample I just took." Obi-Wan's like, "All right, give me a hot sec." He does some bullshit on the computer, and he's like, "It's off the charts.
Even higher than Master Yoda.
Even higher than Master Yoda."
And this is it. And to me,
and at this point, we still don't really know what midichlorian. He hasn't explained it yet.
Yes, to me though, the midichlorians in general, they're really only talked about a lot in this movie.
Yeah.
Compared to the other two. Once again, this is just an example of like telling, not showing. You want to tell us how powerful Anakin is. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, he wins the pod race, and that is.
You mean show, not tell?
No, because showing would be him doing something to show how powerful he is in the Force. Telling would be like his midichlorian is off the charts. That's telling.
Right.
So they're telling, not showing.
Right.
Yes. No, don't get me wrong. Eventually, he wins the pod race, and that is no human has ever done that, according to them. And like that's flexing how powerful he is. But this, just the midichlorians in general, I think is just you're trying to like turn the Force into like a numerical system, or
a numeric value that we can like identify
and
within each
and like
person.
I think that it's not the worst thing in the world, but
it's definitely not the worst part of the movie.
No, and it's
just a weird choice.
Like, I don't think
why even have midichlorians?
Because I think the originals they kind of they do it very well, where it's just the Force is just the energy that binds us. It surrounds us. You know what I mean? And like it's like Obi-Wan basically says it's a living thing, but I think that's all you need to know. Like it's this very mystic power, and that's how I've always looked at it. And now when you kind of like your blood can determine how powerful you're going to be, and kind of thing. Once again, you're kind of like
that basically puts a hard cap on like everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have a high midichlorian count, you're never going to be a powerful Force user.
Yeah, like because my point of view is like you look at Rogue One, what's his name, the blind guy, Donnie Yen's character.
Yeah,
I can't recall his name off the top of my head. He clearly is in tune with the Force, like, and you might say like, well, he probably has a little bit of midichlorians, but like, I think it's just so much. It serves the story so much better if it was he just believes in this Force, even though he doesn't understand it completely. He's not very powerful in it, but he's just someone who he's just always trying to get in tune with it, and that's why he can do the things he can do. And I think it's so much better because it's once again it goes back to the like anyone can. I mean, even like a regular person like him, like he lost a sense, so that now he's trying to maybe get in tune with his other senses better, and like that's what the Force is getting in tune with things and like understanding and that's just how I've always looked at it. I don't know about you.
I agree. No, I think putting like a hard count on the Force is like a very weird thing.
And like I said, not the worst thing.
But anyway, so Qui-Gon he takes his blood sample. Obi-Wan says his midichlorian levels are off the charts, highest they've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And Obi-Wan basically says like, is he like the chosen one? And then Qui-Gon's like, I don't know, but I'm gonna find out, or something like that. Mm-hmm. So then, it's the next day, and they're about to do the pod race.
Yeah, and he makes the bet at that point,
and that's when he makes a side bet, a little side action for Anakin. And they're setting up for the race. All the racers are lining up. Shmi at first actually like didn't want him to do it, but then she has like some line that's like, or Anakin says like, "Oh, you're the one who always tells me that I'm supposed to help people for good," and
that's a good line.
Good line.
Honestly, I agree.
One of the few.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, you're kind of right."
Doesn't Qui-Gon also tell her like, because she even asks like, he's special, isn't he? And Qui-Gon like something like that, right? Where he basically says like, yeah, like he
has abilities, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And she's like, yes.
So I think she kind of buys in a little bit too, to like maybe he is special and like it's a ticket out of here, perhaps.
I mean, any mother would want their son, to be better than them, and if this is his way out, then sure.
Yeah. So then, so day of the pod race. Let's get to the pod race, I guess.
Yeah.
Me personally, like I think I've talked about this a lot with you just in my past watches. I used to kind of have mixed feelings about it. You know, I used to,
Well, you used to say like the pod race took up like half the movie.
yeah,
And after rewatching, I think you realized it's the setup for the pod race
yeah,
that
so
takes so long.
yeah, and I
The
think
actual race is only like a 15-minute
yeah, and
sequence
I think you definitely needed it to kind of break up this like
because nothing's been
mundane
happening.
shit that's been going on.
And honestly, it is a cool
It's a great the sound
the
is
sound.
okay, but here's what I will say is that it's very clear to me though that George Lucas just wanted to have a racing scene in one of his
Sure.
movies because if you guys don't know, he's a very big car guy.
Yeah, yeah.
He's
Oh my.
that's how like a lot of the THX sounds came from.
And you could
Is
hear it in the
yeah,
in the pods.
it's from like racing cars and things like that.
Like Sebulba's pod, it's
Yeah,
like ga 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 ga
yeah,
ga ga ga
like
ga.
he's definitely recorded like Formula One cars and
Sure.
like motorcycles and shit. And the sound in the scene is fucking amazing. Like
Yeah.
I love the way the
And
pods
I don't
sound.
know about you, dude, but like I rewatched it last night, right? And I'm like, for whatever reason, like in my past memories of this movie, I was expecting the score to be like grand
Hmm.
for the whole race.
Yeah,
The score doesn't kick in until the last lap
yeah.
when Annie's about to win.
He really just lets the
The
sound.
sound, there's no
Yeah,
music. The whole race is just the sounds of the pods
yeah.
and everything that's going on.
I do. Also, another thing I do like about the pod race is the effects in it. The what do you want to call it? The
The visuals?
yeah. No, I'm trying to think of the word for it. It's like the physics
Oh,
are
okay.
really really good, especially night. You know when like the ships are crashing and like
Yeah,
the parts are falling apart
yeah,
like that. That's 1999,
yeah.
and the physics look incredible. I mean, like
This is probably the only part of the movie where I actually did get a little chuckle
what?
when there was like there was a moment where it was intended for a laugh and I did kind of laugh a
Yeah,
little bit, and that was the part where they start the race. The race starts,
yeah.
and remember I forgot to bring this up, but Sebulba pulls a little part off of
Oh yeah,
Anakin's pod. He's sabotaging him,
sure.
and then they shit talk, and then Sebulba goes into his pod.
Hmm.
The race starts. Annie doesn't move,
Yeah,
and then there's that other fucking alien who doesn't move at
yeah.
all.
Quadanero. I love how his name's Quadanero and he has
He has
quad
quad
engines,
engines.
like
Yeah, 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 yeah.
real on the nose.
Oh, fucking George.
Yeah,
Uh, I laugh so hard at this because Anakin is like fumbling around, and then you hear the announcer, "Little Anakin, not going anywhere,"
yeah,
and then we have Quadanero who's stuck there too, and then Anakin figures his shit out and he takes off,
yeah.
and the announcer says something like, "Anakin's gonna have a lot of catching up to do, or whatever, to
To get
get to the
to
front."
catch up with the leaders.
Right. Quadanero is still fucking around with his pod, and then there's like this one little moment where his shit just blows the fuck up and his shit goes everywhere. I kind of laughed at
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
I thought that was funny. Like it was just the timing was like really good there.
yeah. And then I will say about the race too. The couple things that like are kind of like whatever is like once again you have Jabba and like his fucking
Yeah,
little
Jabba was there.
and his little like minion
Yeah,
dude.
with the snake neck
Once again,
thing.
it's like, does that dude have to be here? Like, it's just once again, it's just kind of like a fan
I mean, it
service.
does make sense because the Hutts have always been in
No, I think
control.
Jabba the Hutt, like
Yeah,
this dude's always been working for him for like 40 years.
yeah, I
Like, it's like
guess.
okay, didn't have. Like, it's just like it's once again, it's George Lucas. Like, he's like, well, if Jabba's here, this guy has to be here too,
If
right?
you don't know
It's
what we're
like,
talking about in Return of the Jedi, when Luke goes to the palace,
yeah,
Jabba has that like right hand
ball
man
sack,
guy.
snake
He's got
head.
like a ball sack on the back of his head and then like a penis that wraps around
Yeah,
his neck.
exactly.
And he's basically like Jabba's interpreter.
Yeah,
And he was there in Return of the Jedi. And then in this movie, he's fucking there with Jabba.
yeah. It's just
It's like,
like
why did you have to have him? And it's like you said, it's just another fucking thing that George did.
and
Like,
then I do think another slight downfall of the pod race is that our other characters have nothing to do.
they're just
They're
watching the
just
pod.
watching a
Yeah.
screen and like kind of reacting a little bit. It's very
But
because
I
like,
mean, what are they supposed to be
but that's the
doing?
thing is I think that the writing did not help them in any way to
No, no, no.
set up
It didn't.
some kind of conflict for them to have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like
You know what would have been cool is if while the pod race was going on, Maul
yeah, something, you know.
Maul something like
Yeah, it
he
creates
finds the ship and Obi-Wan has to fight Maul on
yeah.
his
I mean
own.
like you think like I think about like just other movies that have like racing scenes. Like you have like, for instance, like Ford v Ferrari. That's
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is a racing movie, but like when the race is going on, you have the tension between Matt Damon, Shelby, and like Ford Company trying to tell him what to do, and like at least he has something to do while
Yeah,
the
yeah,
race,
yeah.
and like
No, they're just watching
they're
the
just
race.
watching the race. It's like okay, like I guess, and don't get me
Well, it
wrong,
looks like some Tuscan Raiders have camped
yeah,
out on the.
like, and it's just like, and I get that George like wanted there to be a race in his fucking movie, and
Sure.
like it's all
And
locked in.
again, the race itself is really cool.
It is cool,
The
and
sound effects are amazing.
Anakin wins. He beats Sabalba,
Yeah.
and this is where things I don't understand this part either. Is Watto, I lost everything, and Qui Gon says like that's what for playing chance, whatever.
You're gonna lose at some point.
Yeah, then he says you can't have him, and then Qui Gon says, well, we can get the Hutts involved, and he eventually gives
He's
in.
like, take him.
So, but then they get back to Shmi's house,
Yeah.
and they sold the pod, and Anakin got to keep all the winnings. They couldn't free Shmi with
With
the
the
winnings. I don't
winnings.
understand that. I never,
Yeah.
because like I just picked up on that
Yeah,
on
because
this
Qui Gon
watch.
won all the winnings.
Well, he says we sold the pod, and he won, and he got to keep his winnings. So like, how much is it to free a slave? I don't.
She can't be worth that much.
I mean, like,
He should have just
I'm
went
not.
to
I'm not.
Watto and
I
was
don't
like,
want to get into like slave prices, but like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
how much
No,
could
but
she
why
really be
couldn't
worth?
Qui Gon go to Watto
Yeah,
and with the winnings? Because Jedi don't need money.
yeah,
So like here, like this is for Shmi. Like,
and like I'm sure he probably would have overpaid for her. Like, yeah,
yeah,
just take
absolutely.
all the winnings.
I
Like,
don't
what?
give a fuck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like we just want his mom. Like,
Yeah.
it's not.
And then you know what? They could have set her to Coruscant, set her up nice in a little place,
Yeah,
and
like
like
I don't fucking get that, but whatever. Yeah. So then you have basically where.
so Qui Gon reveals because Qui Gon didn't tell Anakin that he put him up to.
Oh yeah, yeah,
He didn't want to tell him until he won the race.
yeah. Don't want
So
to psych him out.
yeah, right. He wins and he reveals like, oh, you get to come with us.
Yeah.
Shmi's like, well, it's your choice, Annie.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to go, I can't say anything. Anakin's like, yippee! And then so he starts to go get his shit.
And then he's like, wait, you're not coming, and no.
Right.
And then she like even looks at Qui-Gon, and Qui-Gon's like, nah.
Nah.
Like, and so I guess I want to ask you though, like, so like Qui-Gon's betting everything on this race. Do
Yeah.
you think do you think he's like that in tune with the Force, or do you think it's just kind of like lazy writing?
That's a good question. It wouldn't make sense for Qui-Gon to just be straight up gambling.
Yeah, exactly.
So he had to have known that Anakin was going to win.
Yeah, his midichlorians at the count, so he knows that he's very powerful. But I mean, there's all these outside factors. You still really don't know if he's gonna win. Like, there's literally Tusken Raiders shooting at the ships. Like,
yeah.
one wrong shot, and like,
so Bulba sabotage.
So I do think like he definitely had a strong feeling, and I think it paid off. But things could have gone wrong very easily.
Yeah.
And like he put this kid's life at risk. So like
yeah.
once again, I feel like Qui-Gon not that wise. I think like he like I still don't buy how they're trying to portray him.
Yeah, me
at this point in the movie. So yeah, so then they say their goodbyes. He says goodbye to Shmi. I know I'll see you again.
What does your heart tell you?
Yeah, and then we get a quick shot of one of the drones coming back to Maul. So like one of the drones must have found them, even though we never see. Do you ever see the drone find them?
No.
We just assume that yeah.
And
then
we left that out that Maul is on the planet.
Yeah, and
he's there.
He sent out a drone. And he gets on his bike. So then that's the shot. Him getting on his bike, and he starts to take off. The next shot.
And by the way, it was nighttime.
Yes.
When Maul gets on the bike and leaves.
So then this is where once again the editing choice, the writing choices, there has to be a deleted scene that they just decided to take out of the movie, because the next scene is them.
They're running.
They're jogging. They're jogging along. Anakin's falling behind. Master Qui-Gon, I'm tired, and then he turns around and fucking
Maul's just right there.
Maul is
dude.
like just gonna lay this fucking kid out.
Yeah.
And he's like, Anakin, duck, and it's like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
Like, there's no setup to the scene. We don't know, like, has Maul been like chasing them this whole time, or are they just jogging for fun? Like, I have no fucking clue.
Wait a minute, are we forgetting something?
What?
Because they win, right? Okay.
And I'm sorry. I did forget that he does transmit to Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan's like, "Why do I have the feeling we have another helpless life form?
Pathetic life.
Yeah,
form.
we've got another pathetic life form."
But no, the hyperdrive that they got. How does it get to the ship? Don't they go to the ship first and bring it there? Then he goes back for Anakin.
Does that happen?
Yeah, I think
Oh, okay,
so.
I must
Because
have missed
that's
that.
when Obi-Wan's like, why do I have a feeling we've encountered another pathetic life form?
And it's the boy.
It's the boy. Yeah, that is
Yeah.
what happened. Because if you remember the shot, so they bring the hyperdrive back to the ship. Qui-Gon tells Obi-Wan to hook it up, and he's like, oh yeah, it won't take me that long. Qui-Gon's like, I'm gonna go grab the kid. That's when Obi-Wan says that line.
So when does the transmission come into effect? When do they get a transmission?
Okay, so while the pod race is going on, um, this is so goofy. The Viceroy and the Trade Federation on Naboo have
Oh, the
the
dude.
dude like the
It's a
main
trap, right? Yeah.
the main people captured, and
Yeah.
they're making them transmit to the Queen in hopes that she'll respond and then give away their position.
Yeah.
So they're sending her all these messages like,
Yeah.
"Oh,
Help.
please, like they're killing all of us," which isn't true. They
Yeah.
haven't killed anybody. They're killing all of us. Please, you have to return. We need help. Um, and they're like, "Should we respond?" And then there's this one quick shot of Obi-Wan. He walks in the room, listens to the transmission, and he tells all of them, uh, said no reply, it's a trap, and he just walks out. It's like really quick, and then like they're all just like, what? And then he just leaves.
Oh, I don't remember
Yeah,
that.
dude, yeah.
So they sent a reply. I'm assuming, right?
You don't know.
Yeah.
They never show it.
See, I'm still not sure how he tracked them. I mean, you guys in the comments want to fucking let us know,
Yeah,
like how
because
did
I'm kind of drawing a blank here.
because I wanted to say that Maul put a tracker on the ship. I can't remember though.
But Maul, how would he have put a tracker on the ship if
I
they
don't
left
know.
from Naboo to Tatooine and he didn't get? He got to
There's literally a line when he's talking to Palpatine and like he's telling him to go to like find them. Like he says something about it. Like I track them. Like I don't know how exactly. I can't remember.
Yeah.
So anyway, Anakin ducks, and we get the worst fight in any Star Wars movie, maybe ever.
Yeah, it's super awkward.
It's clear that they just wanted to like they needed another little like. All right, so the camera died. So we got to backtrack a little bit. So we were talking about
the awkward ass fight.
Yeah. Right. It's just fucking terrible. Like I was saying, you just got sand everywhere. Can't see what's going on. They want to save Maul's true power for the end. I understand that.
Yeah, yeah.
They could have done something else. They I mean, like that was just pointless. I don't need to see lightsabers flashing in front of my fucking face. Just and like it's not gonna impress me.
Yeah.
So anyway, he jumps onto the ship.
Yeah. And Qui-Gon like falls on his ass, and he's like way out of breath, like, oh, that was like the hardest thing he's ever done in a long time. Obi-Wan's like, what was that? He's like, I don't know, but it was trained in the ways of the Jedi. It's obviously a Sith, but he doesn't say that.
Yeah, I as the audience, we're not supposed to know, I guess. I mean, like if you have any reference to the other movies, it's a obviously a bad person, you know, whatever. So they go to Coruscant. And the ship lands, and Palpatine and Supreme Chancellor Valorum are waiting for them. And this is what I want to talk about: was fucking the whole Senate meeting and all that shit. Is the two people that he sent to go settle the trade dispute don't say shit to him.
They're the eyewitnesses.
They know everything that fucking happened. They were down on the ground. They saw the city be occupied. Like they saw that they were trying to get the fucking Leia to sign this treaty and all this bullshit to make the invasion legal. And it's just like he doesn't ask them shit. He's like, "Oh, what's up, guys?" And then that's it.
Yep.
We have a whole Senate hearing, and then there's a vote of no confidence in a little bit, and all this other shit. When
all they had to do was bring the Jedi into the Senate meeting,
and
say, "Yeah, we saw everything that happened."
I get that, like they say like the Senate's corrupt and it's run by the bureaucrats and all that shit, but it's like,
but Qui-Gon made it. He made it such a point that he had to go to the council immediately.
Yes, and it's like,
but then he doesn't bring Anakin with him. He has Anakin go with Padme and Palpatine and Valorum.
Yeah, and
then him and Obi-Wan go to the council.
Yeah, but my whole point is that the Jedi serve the Senate and the Republic, so I think the Senate would listen to what they have to fucking say instead of Valorum like, yeah, we'll go send some people there. Like, you already just sent two people there, basically. listen to what they fucking have to say, maybe, and we
Yeah.
could avoid all this shit. But
Yeah, so Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan go to the council.
mhm.
They basically, the first thing they tell him is about Maul.
Yeah, and they are not sure. They don't really believe him.
They think it's a Sith Lord.
The
He's
council
like,
is,
it's impossible. The Sith have been gone for a
yeah,
thousand years.
and this is where like where
And
we
then they're about to leave, and then I think Mace Windu says something like, or maybe it was Yoda, who's like, "You have something else you want to say, Qui-Gon?"
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
that's when he
Oh
brings
yeah,
up,
Obi Wan leaves and Qui Gon just stands there like because he has more to say.
and that's when he brings up Anakin, and then he tells him about how he thinks this boy is the chosen
Yeah,
one.
Mace Windu says like you think this is the one to bring balance to the Force. You speak of the chosen one, and like we get introduced to the council
But
and
Qui-Gon straight up says, like, if you guys aren't gonna
train him.
train him, I'm just gonna train him.
And he already has an apprentice, and he says that Obi Wan's ready for the trials, and Obi Wan's like, "Fuck yeah, I'm ready." And basically, they're like, "We decide when he's ready for the
Yeah,
trials,"
not
and
you.
and like, and so you do get the kind of like the implications because once again, like the council themselves, bunch of assholes. Mace Windu, straight up dickhead. Like Samuel Jackson giving the most like monotone, just monotone performance I've ever fucking seen from him. Even Yoda just kind of like they don't buy what Qui Gon has to say, and I get like they imply later on, like Obi Wan says to him that like he has caused some trouble before with the Council, and like George Lucas is starting to
Yeah.
lay the seeds of like the Council is incompetent, right? And they're kind of blinded, by the rules and the bureaucracy of it all. And we'll get more into that later, but like I see where he's trying to go with it a little bit. But so that's the council meeting, and then we get to Palpatine and Leia, or excuse me, Padme, and
This
basic,
is where I can't stand this shit.
yeah,
Palpatine's obvious scheming, dude.
yeah. And I understand that like she has no reason not to believe him, but we as the audience clearly don't believe him. It's
Yeah.
like if you're over the age of like 12, you'd be like, this dude clearly like is like making her do these things. Like he's gonna send a
So this is I have a pretty good memory of like how it went down.
sure
So this is basically Leia.
back up.
By the way, her name is Leia, which is kind of ironic.
Yeah.
Um, basically, Palpatine. This is what he says to Padme. The Senate is corrupt. The bureaucrats run it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't get anything done. Valorum is weak. He doesn't get anything done because he's a slave to the bureaucrats.
Yes.
He tells Padme, you only have two options,
Yes.
which is you could put in a vote of no confidence against Valorum, which would basically mean that everyone in the Senate has to vote on a new Supreme Chancellor.
Yeah.
Or the second option is kind of it's a little vague on me right now, but it was something like go to Naboo.
No, he doesn't want her to go to Naboo.
No, but what was the second option? It was either vote on no confidence,
Or it's like you just like have to wait.
It was waiting,
and when they have no time to wait is basically
when they have no time. So
yeah.
really, you only have one option, which is to vote for no confidence in Valorum.
Yeah, and that's the thing too is like even Padme says like he's been our biggest ally, and it's like
well, because remember, Palpatine is a representative of Naboo.
yeah, and so and things play out exactly how he says, so I could see why Padme I guess is tricked into like doing this whole thing because you see like because the blue guy starts talking of.
Well, yeah, because so they go to the Senate.
Yeah,
they go to the Senate hearing,
and then the bureaucracy at work, like,
and then like Palpatine like is like
literally whispering in her ear about like this shit, and like so kind of like the broader strokes of this stuff is like I get what George Lucas is trying to do. He's setting up how the Senate is corrupt, the Jedi Council is kind of incompetent. I understand those things, but the problem I have with it, especially in this movie, is that okay, like so the council's corrupt, the Senate's fucked up. Like there is no main character leading us through this. There is nobody who's like the counterforce to that. Qui-Gon kind of is. He's like almost there. He's like he challenges them a little bit, especially when it comes to Anakin. But he still listens to everything they tell him to do. He just does not he has no
Because what does the council tell him to do?
that basically at the end of the council meeting they basically say like there's because there's
They
remember
want
they
him to go find out more
no
about the
no they
Sith.
want to do he wants them to do the trials first or not the trials he wants basically Anakin to get processed.
But no, you're right. But they also tell Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan.
But I'm saying that's their second council meeting after when they tell him that they're not going to let him train the boy. Because remember they do the thing with the screen and he's like,
Yeah,
yeah, that's later. So, but my whole point is though, like his only like driving force in the movie is Anakin, and when he's not in play in the movie, like he's not even in the scenes, and he is kind of part of this machine still. He's still part of the council, or he's still part of the Jedi Order. He's still serving the Senate essentially because that's what the Jedi do. It's like who's the person that's like counteracting all this? You know what
yeah.
I mean? Like, cause like a good example of something like this is like Game of Thrones, where you have all these like season one, you have all these fucked up politics in Westeros and the Seven Kingdoms, right? It's all like fucked up. All this shit is going on, and then you have Sean Bean, who's
Ned.
Ned Stark. He's like the good guy trying to come change things. Now,
Yeah.
Game of Thrones is a little more dark. Things don't go his way, but he in
He's
season
the person the audience relates to
he's
with
the
all the crazy shit going on.
exactly. You need a character like that that is an outsider. Maybe Anakin, if he wasn't 7 years old, could have been that character in this movie. But there's nobody else. So we all we have is we see Palpatine scheming and no one's doing anything about it. We see the Jedi
And
Council.
Padme just goes along
Yeah,
with
we
it.
see, and it's like so. At the end of the day, this movie, and I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. It just kind of feels like we're setting things up for something later. You know what I mean? We're kind of seeing the seeds planted, but what is the point of this? Is kind of where.
So this is like we're kind of getting to the end here.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a little more.
No, I know, but the the overarching thing about this movie is that this whole movie is a setup
yeah,
for the other two movies, basically.
exactly.
And it's like it, it's very obviously a setup. There's
Yeah.
a lot of things that are like so on the nose. Palpatine is obvious scheming. The Jedi Council's obvious arrogance.
Mm-hmm.
The corruption in the Senate. The gullible queen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all these things at play. It's like you as the audience member, you see like everything that's probably going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
and it does happen.
And a perfect example again when we were talking about the Matrix earlier. Like
Yeah,
Neo's that character who's coming into this world and he's seeing things like how
we go through it with him.
exactly, and same thing with Luke Skywalker. He's the person, and I'm not saying that it needs to be exactly like the original trilogy, but you need someone
You
who
need that character.
you need, and honestly, it could have even been Obi-Wan because he seems like he's a little arrogant in this movie because he's still young, and it's just like there is no one like that in this movie. They kind of tease at things like that, but it never pays off.
Yeah.
So we do have the Senate meeting. They call for the vote of no confidence. Palpatine says that he just got nominated. A surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. Like, oh my god. It's just so like he's so obviously
And what's funny is like there was like 3 votes. It was Palpatine and like 2 other randos.
Antilles. Did you see that? That one of the guys' last name is Antilles.
Yeah, bro.
Like another little Easter egg thing.
And of course Palpatine gets the vote.
Yeah, and it's like I don't know. And like Queen Amidala, Padme, she's supposed to be this very strong leader. But once again, in order to get your schemes going, you have to make her look like a dumbass.
But dude, earlier in the movie, Palpatine, even when he's talking to the Viceroy, he says how gullible and dumb and naive the Queen is because she's young.
And that's the thing too. I guess this is a little side note, but like, so did he or did he not want her to sign the treaty to make it legal? Because remember, so he said I'm going to be nominated, and then she's like, I made a decision. I'm going back to Naboo, and you could see that he does not want her to go back.
Yeah.
So my question is like, what does he want from her exactly? I know that he wanted her to make the vote, but
this was all of this was just so he could become Supreme
no,
Chancellor.
I understand that.
But what you're talking about is, did he want her to sign the treaty or not?
Exactly, because my thinking is like, because he needed her there at Coruscant to make the vote of no confidence.
Well, okay, let's think about it. The Trade Federation wants her to sign the treaty. The Trade Federation is working with Palpatine.
And
So you have to
well,
assume
no, he
that.
even says like, I need that treaty signed. Like he says
So he wants
almost
her.
verbatim.
He
Yeah,
wants her to sign the treaty then.
yeah.
So why would he be opposed to her going back to Naboo?
I don't because I mean she already made the vote. She already like said like no confidence of that. But my thinking though is like he needed her at Coruscant, right? So then what was going to happen if she did decide to sign the treaty on Naboo and it makes it legal now? Like was she then just going to were they going to let her go to Coruscant and then she's going to like they made me sign this treaty? Like I don't know what he was expecting from that exactly. You know what I mean? Like
This is what we were talking about earlier
when we
about
try to
how.
get too deep into the logic of
No, dude, like it's if you try to go and like use logic,
it. Yeah.
which I know it sounds bad, but like using your logic to like break down the plot points, it just starts to fall apart.
Yeah, and once again, like maybe we're missing something. If someone in the comments, like,
Yeah, we probably are missing
and
something key,
yeah,
but dude, like it shouldn't be this complicated. Like it
yeah, I don't
really
know.
shouldn't be.
That's the thing. There's a lot of like just like one off dial. Like I completely forgot about the don't send a transmission thing. Like,
Yeah, like we were talking about this last night. Like I was like Snapchatting you, and
yeah,
I was like, bro, did you catch that line about how like don't send a transmission? And then like you were like, no, I totally missed
yeah,
that.
and like I said too, I don't need my hand held through the movie, but it's
But
like,
dude, when there's important plot
yeah,
points that
exactly,
are explained away in one line of dialogue,
yeah,
you could easily forget
yeah,
that.
exactly. So yeah, so then she decides to go back to Naboo, and then so while that's happening, Anakin is getting tested. Basically, they
A
have
ship, a
yeah.
cuh.
I mean, like they're, I mean, even in the OT, like they're like Jedi training is just kind of fucking gay, but whatever. So and then they basically ask him like, "Are you afraid?" And he says no, and then Yoda like can sense that he's afraid, and then he goes on some weird rambling about like
He asked him, "Are you afraid?" He said, "No." And he's like, "I sense something in you, young one. We can see through you.
hmm.
There's something inside of you." And he's like, "I miss my mom."
Yeah.
And then Yoda's like, so you have a fear of losing your mom."
Yeah, and then
And
fear leads to hate, hate leads to anger, anger leads to suffering.
something like that.
Yeah, Mr. Plinkett in his video, he made a really good point about this where those are all just kind of like they're just descriptors and you can kind of change the order and it literally does not so once again it's
By
like
the way, Red Letter Media.
yeah, shout out to them.
Yeah, super good.
Yeah, so it's just like fucking like it's just fake wisdom again because you could literally rearrange those
It
like
doesn't matter the order you say
anger
it.
leads to fear. Like you could you any one of those, and so it's like, and so then they sense all these things in the boy, and then they bring Qui Gon and Obi-Wan back, or maybe it's just Qui Gon. I can't remember. And he said he is very powerful. They might even say that he might be the chosen one, but
But we're not going to
we're
train him.
not going to train him. And Qui Gon can't believe it.
He's too dangerous.
Yeah,
He's too old.
yeah, and it's like I don't know. I just feel like once again, I do think it's not. He is
By the way, he's too old because they need him young so they can indoctrinate him.
yeah, exactly. And that's the thing is that I do think it is George Lucas does do a good job here of like showing you how fucking stupid the council is. Like no, like I don't give like any little feeling of fear or something like that. You're just not gonna like even if this dude could be like your messiah, basically is what
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
saying.
yeah.
Is like nah, like he's too afraid. Like it's just so mundane with shit like that. And even like when Qui Gon says that he'll before he says he'll train him, and like they already have a Padawan. It's like Mace Windu makes a comment about like that's not how things work. Like you can only have one. It's like they're dumbass rules.
Yeah,
Like
like
it's
why?
like yeah. So I do see those things, and that's good seeds. I think that he planted there, and they kind of just brush past it. And it's like okay, we have to move on because you need to go escort Queen Amidala back to
And
Naboo.
find more out about this
This
Sith.
mysterious yeah figure that attacked you.
Yeah, so basically, to summarize that, Palpatine got exactly what he wanted. The Council told Qui Gon to fuck off. We're not
Yeah,
training this kid.
yeah.
And oh, by the way, take the
And
Queen
then
back to her
so
planet.
then they're outside on the like the loading bay with the ship, and right there, Anakin's fucking with R2D2 out of frame a little bit. You could just see his head, and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon are talking, and Obi-Wan's like, "The boy is dangerous," right in front of Anakin. Like fuck him, I guess. Like
Doesn't care.
doesn't care, and Qui-Gon still won't listen. Like no, he needs to be trained. Um, and
Oh,
that
and this is where we get a little explanation of midichlorians.
yeah, he asked
Because
him
Anakin's like, "What are midichlorians, Master Sir?"
the living
Midichlorians,
force.
basically, this is Qui-Gon's explanation. Every living being has midichlorians inside of them, which are also living beings inside
Yeah,
of you. And these things are connected to the Force.
yeah,
So you're not connected to the Force, it's the midichlorians that are connected to the Force, which
yeah,
help you connect to the Force.
yeah. I don't like
And
it
it's
honestly,
just like
and that's
this.
the thing too. Is like I don't know. It's very
And then
pointless.
Anakin says, like, I don't understand. He's like, you will with training.
Yeah,
And
I don't understand. um, yeah. Then you get Jar Jar. We are going home, and then they
oh,
get on the
fuck
ship.
off,
Yeah.
dude.
Um,
All right, so now we're getting into the final act.
yeah. So then they're on the ship, and even Qui Gon is like, I don't understand your plan here, Queen, because she basically is like, I want to go back to Naboo. I don't understand why she was. She basically says like, my fate will be the same as my people. That's basically her logic.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So I guess like okay, that makes sense. And then
This was her master plan.
yeah, and then Qui Gon's like, you're basically going into a trap if you go back there. And so then is that when they decide to go link up with the Gungans, or do they land kind of far
So
away?
there's a scene we didn't talk about because again, it's another fucking scene that if you blink and you miss it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's Padme and Jar Jar have a little exchange when they're at the Senate,
Mm.
and Jar Jar just happens to bring up that the Gungans have an army.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Okay, and like you could see Padme's like and
yeah,
then
yeah,
so then this is where it comes back. They're on the ship heading back to Naboo. Qui-Gon's like, "What the fuck is your plan?"
yeah,
Padme's like, "All right, Jar Jar Binks, this is I require your assistance or something like
yeah,
that." And he's like, "Misa?" And then she's like, "Yeah, we're gonna go to the Gungans and
yeah,
we're gonna ask them for help
yeah.
because we don't have an army and we need their help."
Yeah, so then they land, they look for him in the water. Jar Jar does. They're not
Not there.
there. Then they also send like the bodyguard and a couple people to go investigate the city, I
Yeah,
think. And
yeah, yeah.
then this is where I don't understand. Is where I've been saying this the whole time. Is where basically Qui Gon just straight up says like, we can't help Queen Amidala convince them to help you, even though the whole movie, even before he mind tricked him into helping them.
Yeah.
So like, why not just do it again?
Right.
I don't. I mean, I get like they want to have this kind of like moment of like, oh, we're coming together. This, but it's literally like Qui-Gon straight up says that like we're not gonna help you. Like
Yeah,
it's
no.
like what the
And he
fuck?
could have
He
easily.
could have easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't understand. And then
So yeah, Binks finds them because they're in the sacred hiding place that they go to when they're in
yeah,
danger.
then right away you have Keira Knightley, fake Queen Amidala, starts talking, and like a couple sentences in, Padme is like, nah, like it just interrupts her, and
Actually, I'm the real queen.
I would be confused as fuck if I
And
was.
then Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan look at each other and smile like, "Oh, it was her the whole
Yeah, yeah,
time."
whoa.
What the fuck? As if we didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, yeah, if you're 8 years old, you might have
Sure.
not
I don't know
known.
about you, but like I could tell right away.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong, like, even when I was a kid, like, Keira Knightley and Natalie Portman look similar,
Yeah.
but they don't sound similar, like, and they don't look that much similar. Like,
No.
yeah, I didn't,
But yeah, so then Padme does this whole speech. She gets on her knees begging Boss Nass to help.
yeah.
And then Boss Nass says, Misa like this.
Yeah, I like when you beg.
I like when you beg, whore. And
Yeah.
then and then he's like, "Yeah, all right, we'll help you."
Yeah,
And then they all cheer.
and they make
And then this is,
Jar Jar general.
dude. Okay, that's not yet, but that's crazy.
Yeah.
Then this is where they come up with the battle plan, and this plan is
Yeah.
like kind of whack. This is the plan. The Gungans are gonna create a diversion. So they're gonna take basically the majority of the droid army and fight them in the middle of the open field.
Open field.
Yeah, cool. While that's going on, Padme and her little guards are gonna go to sneak into the palace and get to the Viceroy.
Yes. But also on top of that, there is kind of the plan where they're going to free the pilots to go attack their ship because that's controlling all the droids.
That's what they do first.
Yeah, so that there is like two parts to the palace plan. They want to free the guys and they want to get to the Viceroy.
There's two diversions too.
What's the other diversion?
The other diversion is the black guy is gonna like cause a diversion in the palace so that they could go get to the Viceroy.
Yeah, so the plan is very Dark Knight Rises, where they're banking on the entire army coming out of the palace to go fight them head on.
Which it does.
They do,
Yep.
because they're probably stupid, and of course they are stupid, and that's what they do.
Yeah.
Once again, it's the movie's logic, whatever.
Oh, and then Boss Nass makes Jar Jar a
Yeah.
general
You're gonna lead this attack.
for no
No
reason.
Jar Jar,
I mean,
no battle experience. Just because he brought them together, he's now the general. This fumbling fucking idiot.
which, by the way, the whole movie, he has only proven how much of an imbecile he is.
Like, I understand why you got banished.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
I would banish your ass too.
Oh, immediately.
So they go to the palace. So they cause a diversion. Fucking, the viceroy sees this. He's like, send the army, whatever. And then,
and his stupid accent.
Once again, they all show up fighting these fucking, pointless enemies. But even like just the Gungans fighting the droids, there's a little more tension, because like, okay, the Gungans could die, like, we don't know.
Yeah,
but like the Jedi fighting the droids, it's like, this is fucking pointless.
But then, like, Qui-Gon even says, like, Gungans, there may be Gungans that die needlessly.
Yeah.
And Boss Nass says, we said do our part.
Yeah.
So he doesn't give a fuck if the Gungans are gonna die.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it's just like, at least with that, there's like, okay, there's a conflict, like a real conflict, because
So
the Gungans could die.
The
like,
Gungans are fighting the main droid army.
Yeah.
The rest of the gang goes to the hangar bay to free the fighter pilots.
Yes. And then Anakin is just with them.
And this was another part where I had a little chuckle, too. I actually laughed a little bit. When Qui-Gon just straight up walks up to the droid, and the droid is like, halt, where are you going?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm taking these people to Coruscant. And then the droid says, where are you going? To Coruscant. And he's like, Coruscant, does not compute.
Yeah.
You're under arrest. And then Qui-Gon just, I love this. I don't know why I've loved this. It's like one little, I'm weird, but he does this swipe with the saber and just takes him out, like, instantly. I just like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then, like,
is that earlier in the movie?
Huh?
Isn't that earlier, like when they first are leaving, or is that at this point?
That's at this point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then, so they free the pilots. They all get in the ships, and they're going to go take out the Trade Federation ship.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to try to.
Well,
then
let's not forget, though, just want to add this, is that Anakin's with them the entire time. This little boy, they not only, because Anakin, or Qui-Gon tells him, like, I can't train you,
but you could come with us and watch,
listen, be aware, like, to the war zone, come along.
Like, come along into this war zone.
Yeah, so they just bring this fucking kid who could die at any point.
So then Qui-Gon tells him to get in one of the cockpits of the ship because it's safe.
Yeah.
Anakin protests, and he's like, you stay in that cockpit.
Yeah, and then we get Maul.
This is the best part of the movie, in my opinion.
So this is where I just kind of want to bring up, like, so like Dave Filoni, he always talks about this is the duel of the fates. It's Anakin's fate is up in the air. I don't really think so. I don't think, because
really,
because here's how I feel about it. I do think, okay, like, yeah, if Qui-Gon loses, and Obi-Wan, if they lose, yeah, Anakin doesn't get trained, right? But like, what is Maul's part in that? You know what I mean? Like,
Oh no, I think you're mistaken.
What do you mean?
That's not the duel of the fates.
Isn't it the fate of Anakin?
It is the fate of Anakin, but it's, if Qui-Gon loses, Anakin now has to be trained by Obi-Wan.
Mm-hmm.
Which, as we see where that goes.
Sure.
If Qui-Gon doesn't die, and Qui-Gon actually gets to train Anakin, I think Anakin's life turns out way differently.
Yeah, but that's not the duel, though.
It is.
The duel, but I'm saying in the context of Phantom Menace, the duel is between Maul and them two.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, but I don't.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. If Maul killed both of them, Anakin doesn't get trained.
Well, but my thing is that Maul, and my whole point is that Maul has no part in this.
I know. He's
basically just a bounty hunter. He has no emotional connection to any of these characters. He has a couple lines of dialogue the entire movie. He's basically just like might as well just be like someone for hire that's just coming to kill these people. He doesn't even know shit about Anakin, like, like this fucking kid. So I think it's I understand what you're saying, and I guess I should take that back. Like, I understand what Dave Filoni is saying,
because I know that's the point that Filoni tried to make.
Yeah, my whole thing is that,
like, do you not agree?
No, I agree with that. My thing, I guess, is that, not to say that I disagree with the duel of fates, I guess, is that Maul just has no
No, I
stake
know.
in this fight. Like he's just trying to kill them.
He's not aware of the stakes.
Yes.
And but Qui-Gon
So
is.
that's why overall the fight to me is just a little lessened because of that. Darth Maul has no stake in this fight. He has no emotional uh, connection to these people.
Yeah.
You look at most Star Wars battles, there is usually final battles. There's something there. There's some kind of conflict that um between the villain and who he is fighting, and
Yeah.
the hero and who he is fighting. Here, the heroes are just kind of they're trying to protect the queen and I guess the Naboo and all that. Maul is he's just trying to kill them. He doesn't really care about anything that's going on. And I guess you could say he's a pawn of the Emperor, but we don't really know anything about him
I
either.
guess the only argument you could make for Maul here, and Maul still has no knowledge of this, but Palpatine must know about Anakin.
Yeah, I guess like do they I don't even think they talk at first until after the fact when he says, "Oh, we're going to watch your career with great interest." Do they have any other lines? No. So like
But I'm not talking about Palpatine the Center. I'm talking about
yeah,
Palpatine the Sith
I
Lord.
guess.
He has to know of Anakin's value. So let's just say Maul does kill both the Jedi.
Mhm.
I think, and this we don't know for sure, but I personally think Maul takes Anakin
Mhm.
to Palpatine.
Yeah, so I guess overall I do retract what I said about I don't think it's really a duel of fate because it is. I see what you're saying. I guess I just think that this fight in general is just not it's not as good as I think it could be.
Sure.
I don't think it's as good as a lot of the other fights that we
I
see.
still think it's the best part of the movie.
It's okay, so yeah, let's get to that. It's still the best part of the movie because one, you have John Williams. I just want to say this: John Williams fucking carries this
Yeah,
movie hard. Okay, like if you replace his score with just like a generic action
not
score,
the same.
this movie would be even
The
worse.
music really does make a lot of the scenes in this movie.
Yeah, so obviously, "Duel of the Fates" is a great fucking song, probably one of the best songs in all of Star Wars. And
Yeah.
the fight itself, I do really love how they like. It's kind of almost like it's a separate part where it's like the energy. I'm assuming it's like energy reactor kind
Yeah,
of place.
yeah,
You know, I like just the way it looks, even though it aesthetically like does not look like the rest of Naboo.
yeah.
It's an energy, so it can look however the fuck it wants.
Right, right, right.
But yeah, so I really like that. I think the choreography, I'm like
It's fine.
I'm whatever on honestly because there
It's
is a
not some of the best we're gonna see eventually.
I like what Maul's doing obviously because Ray Park I mean he's kind of a fucked up
I
guy.
think the big standout is Liam Neeson here. He's very stiff.
Yeah, and then I think too we're just watching it again. There is just a lot of like, all right, I'll wait for you kind
Yeah,
of thing. Like even like when Maul jumps up to the top and then they like jump up there. They're literally there's like the shot of them jumping up there, and then you get a reaction shot of Maul watching them jump up there, and then they start fighting. You know what I mean? There's just a lot of like
or like Obi-Wan's attacking, and you see Qui-Gon just waiting for his
yeah.
turn.
So I think at this point in the movies, the choreography is not where it goes eventually. Like
Yeah,
it's clear that they might have just not had enough time to rehearse or something like that. But like I mean, but the music, the way it looks, I think is all really good.
again the sound
Yeah.
effects.
So then while the fight's going on though, you have three other subplots going on.
Yeah,
So you have Anakin, his ship is on autopilot and it
and it
just
takes him to the rest of the ships in
yeah
space.
to go attack the
The Gungans fighting the army, and then you have Padme and her gang trying
yeah.
to get the
And
Viceroy.
also I forgot to mention how did they get back? Where's the blockade when they come back to Naboo? It's just gone.
Oh yeah, bro.
It's just
They
gone.
mentioned that when they're going back to Naboo, they're about to like come up to the planet, and like one of the guys in the ship says like, "Oh, they've spotted us," but that's it.
Yeah, where's the
It
blockade?
does nothing.
Like
They let them land.
once again, like just the
I mean,
blockade is
again, this is
useless.
you now you have to infer. Okay, they knew it was Padme, so they wanted her to come back so she could sign the treaty, so they let her in.
Yeah, I don't
But
know.
again,
But
it's not
at
explained.
this point, I still don't. I mean, I'm not getting back into this.
No, because the Viceroy still want her to fucking sign
I
the
don't know
treaty.
why though at this
Right.
point, and
We don't.
I'm not getting back into
I'm
that.
not getting back into that either.
So yeah, so then we have like you said, we have the Gungan battle. We have they're looking for the Viceroy, and then we have Anakin doing the classic. You destroy the ship. The whole army. Like I think that's another really
Avengers 1.
yeah. Like that's like the worst part of that movie too. Is like
Yeah, I really don't like that as a trope.
yeah, it's kind of a shitty trope. But yeah, so then we get to.
But again, okay, I have to say this. It shows Anakin's prowess again.
Mhm.
Not only did he win the pod race, which
Once
no
again,
human.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's showing now. Like okay, we're seeing shit.
He literally takes down an entire
Yeah.
ship by himself. And as he's coming out of the ship, the other pilots are like, "It's one of ours."
How did he get through the shield? I don't understand. Did it like let out for a second? Because remember, like they were like even the guys on the control ship are like impossible. Like no one can get through our shield. Like the little like bay door shield. Like how did he get in? I don't remember.
They weren't talking about the bay shield. They were talking about the shields of the ship because the fighter pilots were shooting at the
yeah.
the ship.
I guess no one had that idea just to go inside.
Yeah.
'Cause he like accidentally did basically.
Yeah.
Let's try spinning. That's a good trick. That's such a good line.
Dude, fucking hell.
So yeah, and then like
and then we get like Anakin's doing that shit. The Gungans they're losing.
Yeah, I don't. That's so pointless. The Gungan battle.
Out of the 3 subplots, the Gungan shit is the thing I care about the least.
Just because it's Jar Jar doing dumb shit.
It's Jar Jar. This pisses me off so much. He's beating the droids by accident.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's pure slapstick.
Yeah,
like act, like it's just so out of place.
Yeah. The more interesting one is Padme and the gang. They're fighting off the droids in the palace. The droidicas roll up, and they do they pull out the harpoon guns and they fucking shoot. Well, first of all, the black dude. I'm sorry, I keep saying the black dude, but I don't remember his name.
Yeah, I don't remember his name. The guard.
The guard. The main guard.
When he breaks the window.
He fucking...
And that's the only time he does that. Yeah. Every other time him or anyone else is shooting a blaster, it's just like they're just pointing it, but for some reason, the fucking thing, he's like, do. Yeah, I don't know. It's so
blows the window open. They all run over. They shoot harpoons up. They rappel all the way up. They get in there. They get in the room with the Viceroy.
Yeah, it's a weird scene, too, because they get like outgunned basically, and they're all unarmed. Like at this point, like they get their guns taken, and then don't they like send some of the people away? And then like she just opens up the chair, and there's just more guns in there. You know what? It's like they get completely bamboozled, like somehow, and it's like really.
Wait,
weird.
I forgot. How do they get one up?
I want to say it's like it's like they take like because they like take the soldiers away or something. Like, do they tell the droids to leave to like escort them away? I can't really remember.
So they get in the room with the Viceroys.
Yeah.
The droidicas roll up, and they're like, "Oh, we can't win this one. Put your guns down."
Yeah.
And then the fucking Viceroy says something. "Oh, you're gonna sign the treaty now," or something like that. And they're like, she's gonna.
So I'm not 100% sure, but I want to say it's like they have like a group of like soldiers with them. And I think like they literally like I'm not 100% sure. I'm pretty sure he sends like most of the droids to go like escort them away. And then while that's happening, she just gets in the chair and like pulls out the guns and points them at everybody, and it's like block the doors basically. So like,
they lock them out.
Yeah, so it's like it's just really weird. Like, and she just knew that there was guns in those chairs. I mean, she's the queen, but it's like a really weird thing.
Yeah, it was a weird exchange. So like they get one upped, then they one up them again
very quickly.
It's like within a minute.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll be signing anything, Viceroy, or something like that.
Yeah, so then we kind of wrapped
Let's renegotiate the terms of the treaty, or some bullshit.
So we wrapped up Anakin blows up the ship, like we said.
All the droids,
Yeah, I thought it was a good display, you said, of his piloting and his ability. So those 2 subplots are done. Then that kind of wraps up that one, right?
So the only one left is...
So yeah, the final battle. So then we get to the classic energy shield thing, where the thing that we had before in the movie, the speed running, is not used
when it could have been.
And there's no explanation in this movie. I mean, that it literally could have been like, even if it was like a shitty piece of dialogue or something, I would have just preferred that instead of just nothing. Like
nothing.
You're not gonna just run through like when all of them open.
Why didn't Obi-Wan use it to catch up?
Exactly. And then I will say though, I do like the shields where like Qui-Gon's just chilling, you know. Like I think that's like once again, I think he's trying to show like he's
That I
wise.
mean, okay, it's dumb because Obi-Wan literally could have just used that
Yeah,
ability to catch up to Qui-Gon, and I truly believe if him and Obi-Wan fought Maul again, that they would have beaten him together, and
yeah,
Qui-Gon wouldn't have died. And that's not what happened. So
yeah,
we get this cool scene where they're all three of them are kind of blocked. Obi-Wan's way back.
yeah.
Then you have Maul and Qui-Gon are like face off.
The best part of the movie right here is like
Yeah,
this.
Maul is pacing, right? Because he's a
Yeah,
Sith. He's building up that anger.
yeah,
Qui-Gon literally goes on his knees, closes his eyes, starts meditating, and Obi-Wan is sitting in the back. He still has his lightsaber out. He's kind of panicking a little bit.
yeah,
It shows his inexperience,
yeah,
that he is inexperienced, and that he's still young,
yeah,
and he's not quite on par with Qui-Gon yet.
yeah,
Because Qui-Gon just accepts the situation he's in. He's like, I'm
yeah,
going to meditate.
yeah.
Then the doors open, right back to it. They're
Obi-Wan
fighting.
normally runs and
Again,
gets trapped behind the last shield.
could have fucking done it,
Yeah,
but whatever. We're not going to talk about that. Qui-Gon gets, bodied.
yeah. Basically, just gets slapped in the face and stabbed. Yeah.
Literally, Maul bops
Man.
him in the face with the hilt of his saber, and then
Yeah, and
impales
like
him.
honestly, I'm willing to accept that. Like, okay, like so Qui-Gon's more powerful in the Force. He's not really a good fighter. Okay,
Sure.
like, but like, I would have liked to see him do more Force shit then. But it's whatever.
Then we get to my favorite part of the fight, which is Obi-Wan and Maul alone.
And listen, I think
I don't know what I don't know. Sorry, but I don't know why. But every time Obi-Wan's sitting behind that thing, he's just fucking like
yeah,
he's like doing this, and he's like ready to go. I'm like,
yeah, it's hype, and even like just Ewan McGregor's emotion and like
yeah,
the way they're fighting is very hype. But you still have a little bit of that like waiting for you to attack, then I'm gonna attack. It's not as bad as the rest of the fight, but
no.
it's still there. And
But you could definitely see the difference, right? Like
yes,
when Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan and Maul are all fighting, it's like my turn, your turn.
yes,
When it's just Ewan McGregor and Ray Park, they let it out. Like
yeah,
they just go for it, and like they're fucking swinging, man.
yeah,
I
they
mean,
are.
yeah, you're right. There are a few parts where, you know, the choreography isn't up to what it does eventually get to in the other movies, but they do swing. I
No,
mean,
and that's what I'm saying. I think the emotion is still there, and it's like and like the intensity, and that's like,
yeah,
and I think that makes up for it definitely. And so Obi-Wan cuts his lightsaber in half.
kicks him.
Yeah, then
Another kick.
so then he has one lightsaber now. They're fighting, and then I forget how he sets it up, but he force pushes Obi-Wan off.
They get into a
Oh yeah, yeah,
lock,
yeah.
and then Maul pushes him into
Yeah,
the hole
and
in the
then
middle of the ground.
he kicks his lightsaber down in the hole. And he's kind of just taunting him, like fucking.
Then the theme of the Force starts to
Yeah, and
play, and
Obi-Wan is going to grab Maul's lightsaber, and then
Qui-Gon's.
it's Qui-Gon's.
Yeah,
I thought it was Maul's other lightsaber.
no, it's
Oh,
Qui-Gon's.
okay, my bad.
Because it's green.
And then, but it's a very weird choice because like Maul like looks at him like there's a quick shot where Maul like looks at him like he knows he's up to
And he's
something.
like, "What?"
Yeah, and it's like then react like you know what I mean. Like I wish he would have just like taken that part out.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, because honestly I think it's just like it's a very weird choice.
What we're talking about is like when Obi-Wan is hanging for his life, and Maul is standing above him.
He starts.
Maul is smiling because he's beating him, right?
Yeah.
He's smacking his lightsaber on the ground. There's sparks flying. Then it cuts to Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan like you could see he's starting to concentrate hard. He starts to pull Qui-Gon's lightsaber. Then there's a quick shot of Maul
Yeah.
where he stops smiling and he's looking at Obi-Wan like he knows what he's doing.
Or just that he's up to something.
That he's up to something. And right there, Maul should have just like pushed him off or tried to cut him.
Something. And
but
like
no, he doesn't do anything. Obi-Wan jumps over him, catches Qui-Gon's lightsaber, and cuts him in half.
yeah. I mean like that part was cool. I think like it's a good move. I don't really have a problem with it. It's just that one little part. Like just like if you just would have taken that out and just like let it be more of a surprise to him.
Yeah.
It's just I think it would have been executed better. So
Yeah.
then he cuts Maul in half. He falls down the chute, and then he goes. Qui-Gon's dying basically because he got stabbed in the stomach. Because when you get stabbed in the stomach, you die. You don't come back to life later on or just live. But basically, Qui-Gon essentially
Wait, you don't? You don't?
no.
You don't come? Oh, okay.
No. So essentially, Qui-Gon says like train the boy, like just
That's his dying
yeah,
wish.
just train him. And Obi-Wan, I mean, he's like, all right, fuck yeah. So then we get uh all the conflicts are resolved. We get to is the next shot the just Obi-Wan and Yoda? Is that the next scene after like the whole all the battles are done and all that? I want to say it is where
Yeah, Qui-Gon dies. Obi-Wan promises
and
to
then
train the
I'm
boy.
pretty. I mean, I'm not sure exactly the order, but like, so then the next thing is that it cuts to like Yoda and Obi Wan talking, and he's
Yeah,
kneeling, and basically Yoda says like, "You're gonna be a good Jedi Knight. We're making you a Jedi Knight. You like deserve it or whatever." And then basically, first thing Obi Wan says, like, "I'm gonna train Anakin," and Yoda still doesn't think it's a good idea.
yeah,
Like, and he's like, "It was his dying wish. Like, I have to." And then I'm pretty sure it cuts to the funeral after that,
yeah.
and then we get the dope ass music again.
Which, if I didn't realize this till fucking last, I don't know how I never picked this up, but the music that plays for Qui-Gon's funeral is the same music that plays for when Anakin is turning into Vader and also when Padme is dying.
Her funeral, basically.
Her funeral.
Yeah. Yes, and so really good fucking music.
Yeah.
And so then I like to like you kind of get like it's him in the flames, but then you kind of get these little side conversations. Everyone's doing their own like. So you have Obi-Wan talking to Anakin. He's like, "I'm gonna train you."
You will become a Jedi, I
Yeah,
promise.
yeah, and then you have Yoda and Mace Windu talking, and it's like they basically said so. It was a Sith.
But which one did we kill?
Always two. There are the Master and Apprentice, and then literally we see Palpatine. The next shot is
Is
Palpatine,
Palpatine.
and it's like, dude, like I like that's just hard to tell. Like, does he want like the audience to know or not? Like, cause like it's just very strange.
I think that's his way of trying to like tease a little bit.
Yeah, but it's just hilarious. And then after the funeral, we get the Union celebration on Naboo, and we
And
get
you get the most hype song
dude
ever.
Augie's Municipal Band, most underrated song in the whole Star Wars. Like,
It's a pretty hype song.
dude, it's fucking amazing.
It
Like,
makes me kind of want to
yeah,
like.
just like fucking parade.
Yeah,
It's fucking it's
it's pretty
cool. And
good.
then they have the orb.
That
Waiting.
the Queen gives to Boss Nass,
Yeah,
and he holds it up.
yeah. Uh,
Again, Palpatine's there.
Yeah, and that's when he says to Anakin at the parade, "We're gonna watch your career with great interest." Um, yeah,
And now Anakin's in a little Padawan.
yeah. I don't think is there anything else that's like important at the end there that I'm
I
missing.
don't think so.
Yeah, so I mean that's basically the movie, and then
Then the
yeah, and then I love how the Augie's Municipal Band like just like kind of like shifts into the like main Star Wars title at
yeah,
the end. I think that it's really good. I mean I've listened to that song just in my fucking car, just like
yeah,
that transitioning to the Star Wars theme is really good.
yeah.
But yeah, that's Phantom Menace, I think,
That's
dude.
Phantom Menace.
So we were talking, and we were talking about like ratings, and I think we want to do like a talk about these movies on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being the best, one being the worst, and I told you last night like as soon as you finish the movie, just whatever the first like number rating comes to your head, and I haven't told him mine. I don't know his, and so what do you give Star Wars: The Phantom Menace out of 10?
I would give Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, a 4 out of 10.
Okay, 4 out of 10. So I gave it a 4.5.
Okay.
So I a half point off. That's not really surprising to me because to me, like a 5 out of 10 movie is something to me that has equal amounts of good and bad.
Yeah.
So it's
This
like
movie had more bad than good.
exactly. So I think that it has slightly more bad than good. And so yeah, I think a 4 out of 10 is.
I could even see someone argue a 3.5.
Yeah, I just think like. I think
Which I think you and I are gonna once we get to Attack of the Clones. This
yeah
is where we're gonna disagree.
yeah. So when's the last time you saw Attack of the Clones?
It's been a long. So for me, I hate Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
I think Attack of the Clones is the worst of the three.
So like how long ago how has it been since you've seen it?
Well, a couple years.
Yeah.
It's been a couple years.
So
because I try to avoid watching that movie so much because
yeah.
it just bores the
So
fuck out of
I've
me.
seen both of these, Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, more recently than you. I watched both of them like a couple months ago. So and my views of Attack of the Clones have changed. My views of this movie have even changed. Where I used to give this like just like a 3, like a solid 3 out of 10. I used to think this movie was complete dog shit. upon rewatch, there are things like we were talking about, the kind of seeds that you see Lucas planning with like the council and the Senate. I just don't think they're done in the greatest way. And then at the end of the day, this feels like a part one, like a very set up kind of movie.
Which
And
it
like,
is.
I mean, and there's part ones where it doesn't feel like set up in other movies. So I just think it just could have been done better. Like just because it's your setup movie, which also is 10 years before the next movie. So all your setup doesn't matter that much because now the only thing that's still that's continuous is Anakin's a Jedi and that Palpatine's the Supreme Chancellor. That's
Yep.
it. And that's all you needed to know, like about
So
the.
really, what we're saying is, Phantom Menace didn't need to
It
happen.
did not need to happen. I think that it could have this these movies could have been two movies. It could have been a different third movie. And like I said, we're not writers.
Me personally, I'm just gonna go into a quick. It's not gonna take long. I think you still could have done 3 movies, but start number 1 with Anakin already being older, already training as a Jedi,
Yeah.
and have the second movie. Basically, what I'm saying is have Attack of the Clones be the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
Have the second movie focus more on the Clone Wars
Mm-hmm.
because we didn't really
Um.
get any of
Yeah,
that.
we had to get 7 seasons of a show to kind of
Yeah,
explain
which good show,
it's a good show, but like
but
its
what
its purpose was to explain the Clone Wars because you never
exactly?
got see. And like I don't like I said, I don't want to get too deep into the fan fiction stuff, but like just me personally, like I always felt that the Phantom Menace should have been. It starts with Anakin as like maybe like 15, 16, and then Padme's like 18,
Yeah,
19, and
yeah,
then what it could be is the beginning of the movie is them finding Anakin, and
yeah,
he's so much older than a normal Padawan, like a youngling or something. It's like, but he's so powerful that they have to train him, and that's his introduction into this universe. Is that he comes from this small deserted planet, and then now he's in Coruscant, and that could have been our introduction to all these things, and
yeah,
that he already is kind of against the grain of what's going on. And
yeah.
like I said, we'll we have our own ideas and shit, but we're not screenwriters, and we're not here to fucking rant
Rewrite
write
movies.
movies. We're just here to review them. So
Yeah,
I think that's it about the Phantom Menace. We're gonna be going through all the movies. So next up is Attack of the Clones, and I think we're gonna rank them at the end too. And but anything you got to plug or anything like that you want to?
I
No,
I got nothing.
no. So I guess I got some shit. So you can find our Instagram, Saturday Morning Movie Podcast. That's the title. You can follow me on TikTok. I'll probably start pumping out some videos on there. Just the film slob, or you can look up Dom Esposito. That's my name. You can also follow me on Letterbox. I think it's Dom to Bomb 123 is my username. It's my username for a lot of shit.
Yeah.
But that's all I got. So till next time.
See you guys.
Awesome. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, dude, that was good.
Hell yeah,
That
dude.
was good. It was long.
Hell yeah. I honestly didn't think we were gonna go for that long.